Hello, there we go. Audio. We're on the fritz a second. Hold on, we should be good now. Let's start this back like we're supposed to. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome to the hottest show in all the globe, the greatest place to have debates and conversations regarding the world of boxing and beyond. The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise. Everybody, let's clap it up. Get excited wherever you are. We're here, we're back, we're live, we're excited. We got a whole host of topics and conversations to discuss, the biggest of which being the breaking news of Gervonta Davis calling out Devin Haney abruptly, blatantly, and looking like we may have a fight that we didn't expect to happen, all right in front of our eyes. Coming at you, it's a bombshell. It's a shocking all moment. We also got Zayas and Boots and his Jerron Boots and his that is versus Xander Zayas, who is fighting this weekend for the unified 154-pound titles for the battle of who can reign in the top three of the world of 154 in the essentially the murderer's row of the boxing world. Who is going to claim that crown of taking the next step into becoming one of the bigger known faces and recognized respected talents in the whole world of boxing and beyond? Also, a whole slew of things again in regards to the Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, all drama and kerfuffle that's going on. We also gotta look at where Keyshawn Davis is, because now it seems like this brother looking like a third wheel in all these of Shakur versus Haney, which we have been discussing every single day. All of a sudden, that's a wrench into the system. It's a whole roulette wheel of who's gonna fight who that we now have to try to essentially break down and understand, because it's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of hearsay, a lot of debates. There's a lot of facts and a lot of drama that we got to try to sift through, and all of this, couple that with the fact that we also, again, we're a multifaceted show on this podcast. We cover boxing and the NBA as well as the NFL. Giannis Antetokounmpo just got traded away from the Bucks to the Miami Heat. We're gonna talk about that later on in the show, most likely within the championship rounds. But look, we got a whole host of things to discuss with you all today, and we're happy that you're joining in with us on our live stream. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That's right, be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe, right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. Rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we are there. And if we're not, tell us, we will get there. Absolutely no question about it. Hit the notification bell on this channel so you know whenever we post, so you can keep up to date with every single live stream and episode and update that we have here on the Welch Report. And please be sure to do the 2 most important things as I take my sip of coffee, because we're going to need a lot of energy for this show. But if you would, please do the 2 most important things, which is if you can support the channel and you want to see us keep on going and running strong as we're building up this community, we got Cash App, PayPal links down below in the description. Excuse me. You all are the driving force of this channel, as well as with super chats, super gift stickers, and the like, all of which you can go and give to in order to support and help us grow and help us flourish and help me to pay the bills and also help us to edify this show and make it stronger for the viewing and listening pleasure of you all around the globe. Any other thing to do that's most important, please be sure to share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. All with you and your support, we can turn this show to fit the name of the hottest show in all the globe and fit our moniker and help to gain the respect and the audience necessary to be a worldwide phenomenon. Are we taking over? Absolutely. And you all are the rocket ship to take us through to the stratosphere and beyond. But we appreciate all of you tuning in. We're so happy that you all are here and listening to the show. If you want to put it in the chat on whatever we talk about on today, you can. We want to hear from you and have your voice be added to the conversation. But look, we got a whole host of things. I'm sorry that I'm late coming on the show later than I would have liked to. When we got word of all this stuff that we had with Tank and Devin Haney and all this stuff going down, I had to kind of shift everything that I had on my show initially to try to go and fit the bill of what's going on right now to what to talk about today. Because I knew this was going to be one of the most dominant talking points in conversation, even above the fights this weekend, because all of a sudden Tank looks to be coming back with a vengeance, hypothetically, against Devin Haney. So even though we had a whole plan, we got to kind of rip it up and start anew, and we're going to go with what's going on right now. And the biggest topic of the day, as we start up the show, and it's time to start up the show, and because of that, it's time to talk boxing, talk sports, and it's time to step into the ring. Yes, sir. And to start off our show, we had to transition into the biggest news of the day right now. Tank Davis calls out Devin Haney outright. Oh, yeah. It looks like it's going down. It looks like it's going down. It looks like at least it's starting to go down in some regards when it comes to Gervonta Davis moving through the world of boxing once again. And we have been speculating over multiple different days. Will he? Won't he? How is he going to look? What is he going to do? If it's even possible that he'll be able to come back. And if so, is he going to be against a no-name, or not a no-name, but against somebody that is way below his skill level, or one of these actual contenders? Remember, it was Suarez that was in talks with it. Then it was Floyd Schofield that was in talks with having a fight with the likes of Tank. And now it's Tank Davis directly calling out the likes of Devin Haney. And so it's a whole bunch of names that have been thrown into the pot. The biggest of which now is one of the biggest in boxing, which I didn't expect to have on my plate when it came to topic of conversation. Let's be completely honest. This shook me up to my core. I didn't expect this at all. I did not expect to see Tank take this move and potentially try to take this leap at all. In the slides, and we're gonna pull up all the tweets and chats and all that stuff, and we're gonna break it down and discuss it with you. Let me see. I saw you short. You called Shakur a duck, but you didn't call Devin Haney a duck with Keyshawn Davis. No, he said I had said this when we were talking about this whole thing in lieu of Shakur, Devin, and Keyshawn Davis. Devin Haney and subsequently Bill Haney had said, he was right, it was Bill Haney that spoke for Devin Haney publicly and said, hey, we want both Keyshawn and Shakur. Devin Haney, when it seemed like the Keyshawn Davis fight wasn't going on, he went back on social media and called out Keyshawn Davis. When it looked like the Shakur fight wasn't going down, he went back on social media, on his own Twitter, and started calling out Keyshawn again with that whole Keyshawn tweet with a whole bunch of stuff. And Bill Haney was saying, hey, look, we'll move on and we'll pivot towards Keyshawn Davis. Because Shakur said what he wanted to say. He said what he wanted to do. We said we would agree. And all of a sudden it looked like, as Devin Haney posted, hey, seems like this stuff ain't happening. Even though we agreed 144 catchweight. So that's why I said Shakur was a duck in that situation. Because Shakur Stevenson asked, hey, I need certain demands for the fight. Devin Haney said, I'll make the demands. And then Shakur Stevenson didn't do anything at all. In fact, he went on a podcast, both previously before the most recent one, I think I forget the woman's name, but also before that interview, he's also said he didn't want to step on the toes of Keyshawn Davis. He didn't want to take the shine away from having him get the fight potentially before. So, because that brotherhood bond, hey, I don't want to go and rain on his parade of a fight going on. This is Shakur's own words, not mine. But again, he went and pushed the envelope, making the demands. That's why I said Shakur was a duck in that situation and not Devin Haney ducking Keyshawn Davis. And if anything, now Devin Haney is in talks with Tank Davis. If this fight does go through, are we going to call that a duck? I hope not. I would think not. And this is me saying that we've said that Tank doesn't want to fight that caliber of competition. I've been very critical of Tank Davis. I've been I feel justifiably so, critical of the way he's gone about his career in boxing, with him not fighting the level of talent and names that are at or above where he should be and where we know his talent is in the world of boxing. He should have more titles. He should have more championships around his waist. He should have more big names outside of Ryan Garcia. After Frank Martin, when he fought and knocked out Frank Martin, I thought that was going to be the start of the run to start bringing the T.O.s, the Shakurs, and whoever else he wanted to with Devin Haney and others, a rematch with Ryan Garcia, all of those types of caliber names. Shoot, even a fight with Lamont Roach, rematching him after the surprise draw, and he should have lost that fight that we saw Lamont Roach pull out when everybody said that Lamont Roach shouldn't be and was not a competitive fighter, myself included, going into this foray of competition. we were like, okay, we want to see more. And now we're getting more. And I'm happy that we're getting more. If this is in fact true. Now, again, we have a whole bunch of things over the course of social media and X that we got to go through and break down because it is a lot. I mean, a lot of stuff to go and try to fumble through. I think I have everything in order, so I should be able to bring it up relatively easily as we are discussing this whole conversation of this essentially very shocking call out of Gervonta Davis going in and wanting to fight Devin Haney. Now, with all this being said, we don't know where this fight's going to be at. We don't know what this fight is going to do. Right now, it's just call out, noise, noise, noise. We want to get stuff going. This is the most blatant call out that we've seen of Tank over, the course of, I think this year, straight up. If anything, it seemed like he'd been left behind because of the whole allegations, because of the whole court cases, and because of the whole probation periods and all this stuff going on with Tank Davis outside the ring. Most people felt, okay, there's going to be no way that anything even is able to come to fruition, come to a head to actually occur. Now, maybe all this is fixed. Maybe all this is actually able to take place. Who knows? I just know we got Bill Haney saying publicly, hey, we are indeed in talks with this cat. We are indeed now in a position where this fight is closer than we ever thought it would ever be from any time we've tried to even start these conversations of wanting to get in the ring with Tank Davis. This brother is now coming in and is actually planting his feet and legitimately moving through trying to make this fight to actually be a thing. We didn't expect it, but now we're here and we're going to see what happens. So it's a very tentative, interesting thing. Let me see. Tank just tweeted he'll never fight Devin Haney. He's too big. Like I said, we're going to discuss that because it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. And speaking of which, let's actually go to some of the tweets right now in regards to this whole conversation of happenstances going on in the world of Tank Davis and Devin Haney potentially having their fight go down. As we transition over into picture, we can go and see that some of you see Devin Haney right here yesterday, 21 hours ago, tweets and said, hey, I think Gervonta, gruesome gusto, his team reached out. We might just end up fighting against each other. Again, this is yesterday at about 4 p.m. So roughly 5 o'clock. Right after I think I'm back into the house, I'm not going to lie. But even still, regardless, this was what started the whole cavalcade of conversation. Subsequently, with Gervonta Davis going in and tweeting on his the burner account that he also does have, which I didn't think was real. Found out it was actually confirmed. It is real. It is him. Because other sources that are way more connected to me now have been able to validate, okay, yeah, this is Tank. That we can almost assure this is Tank tweeting on this other account, going through and saying, calling out shots at Devin Haney, doing stuff left, right, and center, talking about stuff within his team, talking about stuff within what's going down, and now publicly, again, saying I'm going after Big Nose. which now that I say that out loud, that's crazy to say, but it's alluding to the facial features of Devin Haney, if you didn't catch it. But this is what's been happening. And he has been open to this fight before this subsequent call out that we've seen with him, as we can see in this interview of Tank. I think this is 2025. I believe this is last year, maybe last year, 2 years ago. Can't remember the exact date. I just know from other prominent comedian Bubba Dub on his show, he had a interview with Tank Davis talking about him fighting Devin Haney, and Tank essentially said he'd give the green light. Hey, if this fight is right, I'll make it happen. And I'll let him talk so you can see what he has to say.
I'll definitely for sure be opening a fight, Devin, for sure. But it's just like he gotta redeem himself, you know? If he look good his next fight and things like that, and if the fight don't go good, or even if he look good against Ryan too, and he don't get the one, like I feel as though it would still be like a good fight to have. Just like even like the build up since we've been like he been younger and things like that coming in the game, and it was back and forth. So I think it still would be a good fight with me and Devin for sure.
Well,
Yeah, I definitely.
so, again, he's previously said in certain situations he would be willing to fight him. Now, yes, he did say, I won't fight Gervonta Davis. He's too big and so on. So we're going to break that down and address it because this is a, it kind of, he, crazy enough, he's the one that started this noise. But again, him saying this could be just a ploy to be like, hey, we want rehydration clause in this fight if we are going to fight him because as we've seen with Devin Haney before, he can get up to 180, 175 easily after he rehydrates. And yes, he's always been a big guy. And now, in this type of fight, sure, you don't want to go and for Tank, you don't want to go and have an unfair advantage going into it. That's his thought process in this whole situation. But even with that being said, this still should happen. This fight still should happen. And I hope it does. I really do. I really do. Because you have to understand the gravity of this. This is the most public iteration of Tank actively saying something. I want to go after somebody in this caliber of talent. I'm serious. He said I'm better than people. He said I'm this, that, and the third. I'm the best in the world. Can't nobody touch me. These guys ain't big enough. These guys, they ain't got the money. All this other stuff of why I don't need to mess with them. They ain't on my level. This, outside of Ryan Garcia, is the most prestigious fighter he's tried to go and get a fight with in his career thus far. Outright. This would, in fact, be, at least on paper, the most accomplished, not even on paper, in reality, outside of Lomachenko, the most accomplished, no, he didn't even fight Lomachenko. This would be the most accomplished fighter that Tank has ever faced off against. Straight up. Bar none. It would be. This is the exact level of talent I've been hoping, praying, asking for Tank to go and make a move on. If he does indeed jump into the fray, take all the shine from Shakur, take all the shine from Keyshawn Davis, and he forces himself into the mix, we're going to make a fight with each other, and he actually goes and makes it happen. Whether it's at 140, hypothetically, which I would think he would probably want it at 140, knowing Tank, knowing he likes to operate, I'd be happy with that. 140, if he does 140 with no rehydration clause, and he just comes in and lets Devin Haney do whatever he wants weight-wise, shoot, that's even more gutsy. If he doesn't catch weight, which most likely is coming if this fight does indeed take place, at least we're getting the fight. At least we're getting that. This is what we've been waiting on for years for Tank to finally step up to this domain and take a crack at beating somebody that is at this level, pound for pound, top 10 worthy, which Devin Haney is, which I love to see it. Let me see. Yo, Boxing Pro, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the live stream. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing out with us today. We want to hear what you had to say. Davis must go to sleep. Tank is not a real boxer. He's a money guy. And he is. And the whole point that this is significant when it comes to money as well. Because now, with Tank moving the way that he did, and everybody else moving the way that they've been moving, Devin Haney getting a $100 million proposition from Zuffa, Shakur Stevenson selling out Madison Square Garden with him and Teofimo Lopez, turning into one of the biggest names in the sport, getting a whole bunch of money and revenue, and legitimately showing he can sell and he can fight. Keyshawn Davis getting his name back up in the mountaintop of the world of boxing, and most other people around Tank that have been in that sect, raising their stock more and more. All of these fighters, and specifically Devin Haney, has now reached a threshold where they are unavoidable by every criteria of what Tank said you need to have in order to be worthy enough to face off against him. regardless of size, regardless of we can say weight classes, strictly with the name by name that was within the vicinity, everything about what the names have become, they are now fitting the bill. At least to make it worthwhile, okay, hey, we're going to go and move like this. This is worth the risk that I would need to take to make stuff shake. Because if we're going to want to talk money, now they're talking money in the ballpark that I want to have. And we know that drives him a ton. We also know Devin Haney and Tank would be, especially with what's going on right now, with Devin Haney being in the midst of some of the two biggest fights of the year, potentially him and Shakur taking over the airways in terms of everybody talking about will they, won't they type of fight. Him and Keyshawn Davis taking over the airways as well, talking about, well, if that don't happen, and we get Keyshawn and Shakur and Devin Haney, all of a sudden, that's another huge fight that people want to see. He is on everybody's mind right now. He's got the cachet and the titles and the name and the motion at this point right now. Everything here makes sense, which for Tank, that's what you need. Because if he didn't have that, he's going to say, even if you're accomplished, you're not big enough. You're not known enough. That may be why he's coming out and moving like he's moving now. Again, from outside's perspective, looking in as to what's going on. Let me see. But he doesn't respect the boxing sport. He respects the money. We can say, again, we've said a lot about Tank Davis. Deservedly so. One thing he does respect is the money. You heard it before. He wants to be here for a good time, not a long time. But if the money's right, that good time can also be against very good talent. And now it looks to be. It's at least on the table. It's at least in the conversation. Now, also this could be, and I'm going to show the tweets, but it could be because of the back and forth between Devin Haney and Tank Davis that seemingly bubbled over into Haney, talk about his mama, after Tank was trying to make fun of him for getting knocked out. All that other stuff also could have capitulated too. Okay, now we got to move, and hey, now you're going to step too far. Now there's a button that got pushed. I got to go and make stuff shake. And now ain't no more rah-rah. We actually going to get some work. Either way that this went down, just understand this has now become an actual reality. This has become a real thing. This has become based on what Bill Haney's saying. This has become on the level of potential realistic fights, just like what Shakur and Devin Haney was when they were both saying this could actually happen. There is a world where at the end of this year, or November, December, even September, well, maybe not September, but you get what I'm saying. We could have a fight with them. And it could be on the zone. It could be, because in a world where potentially Zuffa worked with the PBC, because Tank, I believe, is still a PBC fighter, in a world where that would be the case, where this type of fight would be most likely, most likely this would be the most anticipated fight of the year. If you want to put in perspective of the most looked at fights that could actually happen, Boots versus Ortiz, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Shakur versus Devin Haney, Shakur versus Keyshawn, because people still want to see that fight, Shakur versus Tank, then now added to the fray, Tank versus Devin Haney. And of course, Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Those would be some of the biggest combination of fights that you can see happening across the boxing world. This would most likely be top two, if not number one. If they actually did say, okay, hey, we got an announcement tomorrow, we making it happen. That would be insane. That would be ridiculous. Let me see. Dale Anderson, thank you for tuning in. We thank you for listening, coming in on the show. Hopefully you're enjoying today. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that we got going on. We want to hear what you have to say in the world of boxing as we're discussing this bombshell of a potential fight that can actually happen. I am seeing, am I seeing things, or is this actually happening? It is in a very serious talking stage. I can say that. Per Bill Haney's own words, this is in a very serious talking stage in the world of, or in the reality of this fight happening or not. I'm not trying to sit here and say, okay, hey, it's happening, it's going down, it's confirmed, boom, spoiler alert, we're getting the fight on XYZ day. I am showing you, though, this has become, like you can see over here in the tweet, this has become a really, this has become a real potential. As you can see for Devin Haney, I think Tank Davis, as you can see, grew some guts. And his team reached out. We might just end up fighting. Genuinely. And again, I'm refreshing right now to make sure we see any other potential updates. But this has turned into from just a regular ho-hum dream scenario, and they'll never actually do it, into, from the source himself, stuff may actually be popping off. Again, what it took to get here, was a lot. It was a lot of back and forth over social media. It was a lot, as you can see. You can go through his social media, and I think you can even see it on screen. They've had a litany. Tank, and again, this has been confirmed to be G Money. This has been confirmed to be Tank's burner account or other personal account that he uses. And Devin Haney's been retweeting, commenting, and going back and forth against him a whole lot. Specifically here. G Money saying, I'm going after Big Nose. Let's get it on. Devin Haney responds, per this tweet, you broke. You need money bad. I'ma beat all them pills out of you. Which is, again, is insane to say. That's Devin Haney responding. Then G Money posts bag of money, as you can see right here. I'm up, real dog. When you was doing the little thing, I was ahead of you for a long shot. I'm gonna show the world you're just a kid. And as you can see, stuff gets a little bit awry. No more talk. I'll see you. Stuff shakes like that. And again, subsequently after this, on Instagram, I believe it was Devin Haney posted something about Tank's mom on for Happy Father's Day. Taking jabs at whatever the case may be. I'm not getting into that. That's not none of my business. I'm just telling you the steps of what happened that are not showing up here. Because this is kind of transitioned over from multiple different places that they've been talking against each other. And then subsequently, we get to hear Tank grew some guts. He reached out. We're going to see stuff happening. And they responding to, don't let him send no rehydration message against you. And then Devin Haney says never, alluding to in these negotiations, if he just tried to send something my way in regards to him trying to make sure I can't rehydrate, that ain't going to happen. Now, that could be the thing that makes sure this fight just completely falls apart. Because as we've known with Tank Davis, he's not one to take rehydration. Or he's not one to, Devin Haney, excuse me, not one to take rehydration clauses. He's not one to say you're not going to weight drain me to come down and do something. Now, I think it would be fair if we did, just like with Tank right now, because Tank had even posted up on his own social media, him and Shakur were able to weigh in at 147 respectively. So, you make it so that it's a 144-pound catch weight, just like with Shakur Stevenson, and you make it so that he can rehydrate maybe up to 154. That's about fair. It still makes it so that Devin is at least fighting where he relatively close to where he is. And Tank can still fight without getting uberly outmatched. Because again, him and Shakur weighing the same when they both stepped on the scales as everybody was doing what they call it, a scales check or something like that. Where all of a sudden everybody was showing how much they weigh, how much they're walking around. Oh, trying to tease, we can make stuff happen at multiple different weight classes. I don't know what that was about. I just know that's what happened. And I just know Shakur was weighing at 147. Tank was weighing in about 146. I think that's fair. Again, to me, I think that's fair. But let me keep on reading your chats to see what's going down. Let me see. This might be the one time where he wins or loses. I'll give Tank respect if it happens. That's the thing. That's the biggest thing. If this doesn't need to happen, we win, lose, or draw, I'll give him the respect. And he deserves respect. There's no, what is there to say against this fight, win, lose, or draw, if Shakur Stevenson or if Devin Haney and Tank do fight against each other? There's nothing. There's nothing. If Tank and Devin Haney do fight against each other, what is there to say against what's going on? What's there to say against this fight? There shouldn't be any. In fact, there is nothing. There's nothing you can say against this fight for what's going down to say, hey, this is problematic. He'll be fighting a bigger opponent at a bigger weight class, who is the most accomplished fighter he's ever faced, who has been around his same skill level, talent, and elite status, not just in the ring, but eclipsed him in accolades and achievements while facing up against people that have been vastly more experienced and vastly, again, at or above his skill level. Like with Lomachenko, even with Brian Jr. when he beat him at 147. Even fighting Ryan Garcia, even though we saw what happened in that fight. Again, PEDs and all, the asterisks can be there, but the situation still remains. He fought him. We would be seeing Tank against somebody that has fought at an uber high level. There's nothing against that except for, hey, this is all we've been asking for. The Haneys, Shakurs, T.O.s, Lomas, and anybody amongst that set of talent we want to see you in the ring with. And Ryan Garcia, who's rejuvenated himself in the world of boxing, we would like to see that as well. Especially at a bigger weight class, and now it looks like you can actually get up to. And I've been saying you can get up to very easily for multiple years now. But that's neither here nor there. This fight would be incredible. There would be nothing to put against this fight. That's why I want it to happen. Devin Haney versus Tank is the fight that should have already been. Devin Haney versus Tank is now the fight that, if it does happen, would be perfect. It would be so tantalizing and exciting. Who wouldn't want to see that, and who would have something to say against it? Nobody. Outside of, hey, my guy beat your guy, ha. That's just going to be fans being fans. But on the whole, okay, you went and you tested yourself. We got to see what you can do. That's all we've been asking for a number of years. And we can finally get it. We can potentially finally get it. Let me see. Belts don't matter when it comes to the fight, or when it comes to this fight. It's definitely a legacy fight, regardless of if the belts are on the line or are on top of the line. That's true. And also, let me see, Dale Anderson. Okay, is Tank trying to get robbed? Why would you show that much money on the internet? Well, I mean, Tank, again, yeah, some of that Floyd Mayweather, what's the word? There's some of that Floyd Mayweather influence falling on him. He probably ain't gonna get robbed, most likely. But he's just flaunting just because he wants you to see, like with his fashion, like it was a style. Hey, I'm still like that. Don't call me broke. Don't call me nothing, because I know I'm still top dog up here. But again, that's more so frivolous stuff. That's Tank just trying to be what Tank normally is in terms of the materials are what he uses to help define his status. I'm not speaking against it. I'm just saying that's what he is, and that's what he does. That's what he's done. Not calling it bad or good. I'm just saying that's what happens. Now, in regards to Vaughn Greenhill, also, Vaughn Greenhill, how you doing? We appreciate you on the live stream. I didn't get to say hi. We're glad you're here. Thank you for showing up and showing out on our show. But let's really delve into this. The belts would not matter for this caliber of fight, but the belts are indeed a major factor in this fight. Tank is still the WBA champion at 140 pounds, even though he is or was out the ring for a very long time. We have now seen Keyshawn Davis become the mandatory for this fight with Tank Davis. In regards to everything else that we were seeing. I'm sorry. Not Tank. We've seen Keyshawn Davis be made mandatory for which titles? Which one was he made mandatory for? Devin Haney's 147-pound title. Excuse me. I misspoke. Let me start this over. Hold on. Mulligan. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's run that back. Let me run that back. Keyshawn's 147-pound mandatory for Devin Haney. My apologies. That's that mandatory. Floyd Schofield is the mandatory at 140 right now for Gervonta Davis. That is the truth. Tank was supposed to fight Floyd Schofield. That is also the truth. Tank was forced into a mandatory by the WBA to fight Schofield. And if he doesn't take that fight, he will be stripped. That's what looks to be the going sentiment of the WBA right now. That is also true. However, this was before this fight with Devin Haney looked like all of a sudden it was falling into place of a reality that can actually happen. That may throw a wrench into all of this, even for Floyd Schofield. Because we know sanctioning bodies are greedy, because we know sanctioning bodies want their money, and because we know when somebody can be a big bag of persona, they can also be in a position where they'll make some capitulations. If this fight doesn't get agreed upon, there is a real world where Tank gets some leeway from being forced to have to fight in a mandatory with Schofield, and he keeps his belt, and it becomes the current champion who stays champion now goes up and fights the unified champ in Devin Haney. And if he wins, all of a sudden, because of how much money that would bring, while he's still champion, and like we've seen with these other promotions, like with these other sanctioning bodies, like with WBC, we can potentially try to take a cut from that bigger pie, and now we get paid more, and we still have one of the biggest names in championship status under our belt for who represents us, who just had the biggest win of his career. Who wouldn't want to give that a potential opportunity? That we could see that take place. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying it's a possibility. So belts could still be on the line. Even bigger than that, let's just talk about the weight class in and of itself. Because that's another thing we need to discuss. Straight up, the weight class itself of what's going down at whatever potential weight would be drastic. But it would be interesting. Because we wanted to see Tank move up. He's going to have to move up. And we say, well, Devin Haney's too big. Well, again, previously, anybody was too big for Tank to fight. Let's not change that fact. Previously, it was everybody that has moved up was way too big for Tank to fight. This is with me saying I think Tank Davis can fight at 147. I've said he's good enough that he could fight at a Roberto Duran level where you're even at 5'5", which again, Manny Pacquiao was 5'5". You could get up to 147. You could get up to 140. You could get up to these bigger weight classes and be able to shine. Now, I'm not saying he can get up to light heavyweight like Roberto Duran. I'm not saying he's that great, but I'm saying his ability is that it can translate significantly above what we see for competition in just his immediate vicinity. He's built like that. That's what I've said. I just want to see it proven. This is this against Devin Haney. Yes, Devin Haney's big. And yes, Devin Haney is indeed a massive person. Absolutely. However, this fight, even with that fact, still should happen. To me, regardless of whether it's a rehydration clause or not. Because you could have fought this fight earlier when he wasn't going to be able to, when you had more leverage, more positioning, more ability to demand what you wanted out of a fight. And now Devin Haney has moved to a point where now he has legit major control over stuff. So we can't say, hey, look, you're coming to me. I'm not coming to you. I wasn't bringing you up. It's a different playing field now. I wasn't bringing you up. I wasn't talking about you. I was having moves of my own with Shakur, Keyshawn Davis, previously Brian Norman Jr. And if I kept on winning at 147, I could have gotten potentially a big fight with Manny Pacquiao. I could have unified against Ryan Garcia. And I'm pound for pound top 10. I got all this promotion and this money that another promotion wants to pay me. That is, again, a $100 million deal, potentially for one fight and or two. I got motion now that you said I needed, and now you're the one that's calling me out, not the other way around. I have control of where this thing goes, regardless of what you may be saying. Because look at what's going on around me. Without you, I can still get Keyshawn. I can still get Ryan. I can still get, though it looks like it's a lesser possibility, I can still get Shakur. And still be able to say, yeah, I'm good and I'm making legacy and I'm making money. And I'm still keeping my spot as one of the biggest, most prominent names in the sport. The tables of what boxing was from when Tank was on everybody's mind versus now, in those 3 years, in those 2 years or so since Lamont Roach, and today, the whole boxing landscape is flipped to where Tank's position and leverage is not exactly what it used to be. And there's other people now, they got a brass ring that they can hold high and say, hey, because of where I am and what I got this. In terms of the brass ring, I got some control that you, because of what you've been doing in your career, relinquished or lack thereof. And so I can say, I'm not taking no rehydration clause if that's what it's going to take for you to fight me. We're going to fight. I'll come down. Like I said, I'll come to 144 just like with Shakur. I'm almost sure that's what Devin Haney's willing to do. But you ain't about to say, oh yeah, you need to rehydrate to this much. If I'm Devin Haney, because guess what? I'm the one that you're running to. We're not moving in the same caliber anymore of who is the star and who is the up-and-comer. In Devin Haney's eyes and from the business aspect of boxing, Tank's star power it still is huge. It still is major. But it is not standing alone anymore. And Bill Haney knows that. Devin Haney knows that. And a lot of boxing world is seeing that now. They really are. Which I'm excited for. Because it's going to force something to shake. And somebody's going to have to make a move to do something. Either Devin Haney says, hey, I know I can beat you. I'll be just fine. I'll take the rehydration clause. It's whatever. Or we're going to have to see Tank potentially move up to 140, catch with a 144, or even straight up move up to 147, straight skip weight classes and fight Devin Haney on his own home turf for his own belts. Naked and afraid. And by naked and afraid, I mean naked without any buffer of you're going to keep somebody down by holding in the 10-pound rehydration. And he has to fight Devin Haney at 147 with no weight clause at all. At the best Devin Haney you can get. There is a world where this does get agreed upon because of the amount of money and the amount of publicity and the amount of cachet and the timing of this fight that would be, again, what everybody wants to see. We could jump into a world where Tank straight up has to go and capitulate to that. If he beats him in that framework, hey, phenomenal, incredible. He's as good as we thought he was. Dare I say better? Because all of a sudden he would win where people say he couldn't win because people were too big, which I've said he isn't. Or I've said the size doesn't matter when it comes to Tank. This would be phenomenal if he did win. But the risk now for Devin Haney, if you weren't taking it for Tank previously, it's worth it now. That's why I want to see it. That's why I want to see it. I need to see this fight. If we can make it happen, this would be really great. Let me see. They both use the Philly Shells style, but Tank hits harder. You're absolutely right. He does. The fight itself would turn into power versus movement. Somebody who, when he gets the lead, he's going to keep himself from getting in danger. Versus somebody who, he may not lose the first 5 rounds, but he may lose the first 3. In Tank, build up an IQ and build up what you do, and afterwards go for the knockout at the end and go for the kill. I win on the back end. I win on the front end. Who's going to take it home when it comes to going into each other's territory of talent? Can you get beyond my jab and my length? When we saw you have some trouble getting through against Mario Barrios when he was extremely long, extremely tall, and able to use that jab to make you really have to work to get on the inside. Devin Haney is even more masterful at being able to go and keep you frustrated with never giving you the distance that you want. With one of the best jabs in all the boxing. Great as a dichotomy. And we also know Devin Haney can get hurt. We also know Devin Haney can get rocked. We also know Devin Haney can go through and get caught and knocked down. He hasn't been knocked out, but he has been knocked down multiple times. And Tank's got the power to knock him out. But he's got the heart of a lion. We have a fight that is built of almost perfect opposites of each other. Devin Haney, tall, long, but conservative, speedy. Tank Davis, short, stocky, but aggressive and incredibly strong. Counterpuncher, pot shotter. Knockout artist versus boxing savant. Even though they're both, again, incredible talents of boxing, but point scoring near perfection. Defensive genius, Devin Haney, versus offensive juggernaut, Tank Davis. IQ versus IQ, speed versus explosiveness. It's a perfect storm. I would love this is the exact type of fight that would force Tank to be the best he's ever been. And it's the exact type of fight that Devin Haney would have to be better than he's ever been. They both would need to be the best we've ever seen against each other in order to fight and beat each other. Because both of them are built to go and stifle the other style. Devin Haney is perfect to stop the likes of Tank Davis. Not stop him, knock him out, but stop his ability to win. Because he will not let you get momentum once he gets a lead after round 6. Because he will stall you out. And trying to score against him can be incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult. Him and Shakur, though I think Shakur is the better boxer, they're both 2 of the best defensive fighters that we got in boxing right now. That is undeniable. We call Devin Haney a genius, and rightfully so, because when that brother does indeed turn it on and let his whole skill set show and flourish, he's incredible. And he does have pop that Devin Haney would have to respect. Even Ryan Garcia gave Devin Haney respect. Hey, I couldn't just go in and just try to get him out of there without having to worry about something. He can actually crack. Brian Norman Jr., I overestimated his ability not to punch. He can actually crack. He knocked me down and could have knocked me out. If he had tried to be more aggressive more than 20 seconds. He got me. And he was hurting me, or at least catching me with good shots that I had to respect for all fight long. We are in the midst of a perfect mirror match. Not where both fighters are the same, but both are completely the opposites. But they have the counters for each other. Tank's got the counters for Devin Haney because though Devin Haney has the jab, the length, the foot speed, the defense, and the ability to make you respect him, which you need that for Tank. Tank's got the explosiveness. He's got the head movement. He has the IQ and the shot placement that he doesn't need to land a copious amounts of shots. He just needs one to get a major crack. And then the next one is going to end the show. He is a genius of pressure and counter punching. Getting around your best weapon, which is the jab for Devin Haney, and turning that into a counter opportunity with a leaping left hook, with potentially an uppercut, with a straight down the middle, or even going downstairs to the body. Once I smell blood, or once I figure out the game plan, I'm a master at executing it. We've seen it countless times against countless people. I have the ability to render your length and your defensive acuity useless and test your heart to the brink of death and make it start, do you really want to get up? Because I'm catching you like Ryan Garcia, but this time I'm not going to gas out like Ryan Garcia. Do you really want to stand up to this? Or are you going to take the lead like Ryan Garcia? I can put all that IQ into panic mode. I can recreate what happened with Devin Haney and Ryan, but do it oh so much more dangerously. If I start getting that upper hand, it's a perfect storm. Great outside fighter versus a great inside fighter. Distance manager versus a distance eraser in Tank. You could not build a better matchup of polar opposites than this fight. You couldn't. You really couldn't. And I want to see it. Absolutely. Also, Mr. Miyagi, salute to you. How are you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our show. Von Greenhill, whoever wins between Tank or Devin, where do you rate either on the pound for pound? So if Tank beat Devin Haney, well, he's on the pound for pound. He takes Tank's spot, or he takes Devin Haney's spot. Call it a spade. Remember, Devin Haney's about eighth in the world, just about. On my list, he's number 8. If Tank beat Devin, he would take that spot for 8th in the world. Because especially if it's at 147 straight up, even at a catch weight, he'll be jumping at least a weight class and a half, going to fight Devin Haney, who's one of the best in the world, who just beat the boogeyman at 147, who is still one of the most accomplished boxers in the entire globe. And you beat him with the talent that we already said was previously top 10 level. Yeah, you don't have a bunch of accolades, but you went and beat somebody that was on that list. And we've been saying, at least I've been saying, the one thing that you lacked was that level of name from the perspective of not just talent, or of not just notoriety, like with Ryan Garcia, but legitimate skill level. At this point in time, where we view them as, okay, this brother currently is that type of monster. That is what we are saying Tank lacked. Somebody who, when we talked about him fighting them, they were not just elite, they were not just known, but they were in their prime and an immediate danger for what we wanted to see you go up against. Worthy of your talent. He fits all of those bills. And if he won this fight, he would be pound for pound 8th in the world. If Devin Haney won this fight, well, he moves up. He moves up to probably 7 or 6 because of the immediate weight of that win. You getting an official O on Tank's resume, especially if you do it clean. We know Lamont Roach should have been the guy to do it. But Devin, he does it with his current position and with the accolades. He beats Tank, who is already, again, fitting that bill of this is a deserved fighter who is a threat, especially with a lot of people saying, yeah, Tank's going to knock him out. There's a lot of people that are saying if this fight ever happened for over 3 years, Tank was going to beat him. and he does get what would look like an upset in this regard, you better believe he move up. With all the accomplishments he just did, he move up a lot. He'll move up a lot. At least a spot or two, which in the pound world, that's a lot. That's significant. So that would what from 8th to 6th. It wouldn't be top 5, but it would definitely be probably 6 or 7, one of those two spots. And I think that's deserved. That's any one fight that can move you up 2 positions is huge. It's huge. This is one of those fights. It will be worth it in that regard. Let me see. I really don't see this fight happening because Haney will not go for any clauses at this point since the Ryan chaos. That's true. That's true. Well, or at least that's a problem that we do need to recognize. But the other half of this equation, Tank may just take the jump, or he may have to take the jump. Because right now, we've said it multiple times, it's now or never that he not just makes his legacy known, but some of these fights right now, if he waits and doesn't take them as they are, and somebody else does get to them, similar Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, what a luster upset win would be shaven off. So already got hurt when Ryan Garcia fought against him, and everybody's saying using that fight as a catalyst for why we may see Tank go and take him out. But the intrigue still right now is massive, deservedly so. But Tank at this point in time, especially what he said recently, I don't want to be in the sport a long time. I want to retire and get out of this sport within the next 2 years. He said that. He said publicly. We covered that on this show. We are not trying just to make up stuff. We're saying that there is a need for urgency on Tank Davis. And we want to see that, or we may see that because of this position, not only is Devin Haney worth it, but it would behoove Tank maximizing the money to take the fight now. Even if he can't get the rehydration clause, or if he does, he raises it from just 10 to 15 or 20 pounds. So the fight's at 147. Tank lets Devin Haney rehydrate up to 160. It may not be the 180 or 175, but it's enough to at least make Devin Haney say, okay, sure. I'm cool with that. We may have to see Tank give up some luxuries to make this fight happen because of the position of where boxing is right now, where Devin Haney stands now on an eye-to-eye level in regards to Tank Davis, where the demands are not just Tanks to make. It could be like that. Let me see. Duval, KOG Duval, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on our show today. Tank versus Devin is the biggest fight in boxing. It has to happen. It's one of them. It's either Tank or Devin, Tank or Shakur, Devin Haney or Shakur, Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia. Those are the of the names notarized that could happen. Those are the ones that we want to see. They are. This is a major step that we all have been waiting to have at our disposal. And mind you, this was supposed to be a day that we're talking about Xander Zayas and Boots Ennis. We may have to just talk about that on Thursday instead of starting out the week on Tuesday because of all of this conversation with Tank. Because there's a lot that we need to understand. What would it take for Tank to get this fight going? That's the other question at hand. This fight is now on the table. Bill Haney says that they're talking. But what would it take to cross that threshold to make this fight a reality? What would it take to make this fight happen when you have Shakur, Devin, or Shakur and Keyshawn right in the midst of these things were potentially right here, and you coming in and Tank trying to throw your weight around and say, I want this fight now? Cool. Great. We get for Devin Haney, it makes sense. For Devin Haney, it fits the bill of a fight that would be worth $100 million that we are almost assuredly now we understand it's Zuffa that's giving him that money. This would be a fight that would fit that level of high caliber notoriety worth that payday. It would. I don't think anybody would ever disagree with that. But what is everybody willing to give up? What's everybody willing to give up? For Devin Haney, it may just be he's big enough that he may say 150 or no 147, yo, you come up here, you fight me up here, and that's it. It could very well be that. Or it could be that because of the moment, because of the money, and because of where he is now at 147, there is a rehydration level that he may be okay with. Because you're not at 135 anymore trying to squeeze down there and then squeeze or rejuvenate yourself back up to a higher division by the time you walk into the ring. It could be now I'm at 147. I'm comfortable. Now, I'm making weight easy. Now, I can afford to be closer to that weight without needing to go and balloon up and still be at my best. So it could be he does a 10-pound rehydration. If you keep me at 154, hey, I'm still just fine. You keep me at 154 and I can only rehydrate up to 10 pounds. You may just say up here, I feel good. It could be that, again, I'm willing to take more if I do want to make this fight. Because, again, right now, for Devin Haney, he feels like he's the one that holds all the cards. He feels like he's the one that's in the driver's seat. He feels like he's the one that can say, if I make a decision, it's because I want to do said decision, and that's it. It ain't nobody else making me do something that I don't want to do. Tank even had a tweet over social media saying, hey, man, you go through and you jump when I say jump. Devin Haney definitely feels that's a bold-faced lie. In fact, here, you can even see it right here in this tweet. Tank is going to most likely fervently go through and try to make stuff shake. Because this is a tweet that Tank on his other account sent that is in the midst of all this other noise and news. People want to come in 165. You not in the driver's seat. It's your dad you talking about. If you want to get the biggest purse for your career, you do as I say. And again, you can see at the end is at the end. I ain't gonna say you can read. But this is what Tank is operating under. You still follow what I do. You still follow what I say. You still follow my lead when it comes to the world of boxing. I'm still the one that holds all the cards. And Devin Haney most likely is going to say, yeah, I want the payday, but I am the ruler of this world. It's going to be an ego battle. It's going to be an ego battle. This fight, the fight before the fight, is a very real thing. The fight before stepping into the ring is a very real concept. Getting a leg up at any point in time before something actually shakes. That is a real thing. And we're dealing with two people that are some of the most, with all due respect, ego-driven fighters that we have in the sport. Both of them feel they're the best. Both of them feel they run the world. And more importantly, both of them feel they don't have to listen to anybody to do what they want to do. Everything happens on their terms at their time. For whenever I say we're going to make stuff happen, because I am the cash cow. That's how they both feel. Tank especially, because throughout his whole career, even though the accolades have paled in comparison to Devin Haney, have been caught up by Shakur Stevenson, and have been eclipsed by other fighters around the boxing world, still, he has been able to demand, move, and operate as if I've been undisputed 2 times over. And I've beaten everybody, everywhere, at every time, which he hasn't. He has the capacity to, but he hasn't. It's going to be a battle of egos. Bill Haney, Devin Haney, Tank Davis. Who's going to come out on top? Who's going to dominate when it comes to this battle of pride and who controls what. Who's the one that's telling people we move when I say? It's going to be that type of game. And I guarantee you it's going to be a hard-fought battle. It could even end in this fight just completely blowing up and nothing happening. But that's what it's going to be. That's what we're working with. That's what we're working against. That's what the fight is in this situation. Before we even get to the ring, if this even happens, it's the fight for ego. Whose ego is going to be big enough and whose ego is going to be willing enough to step aside for the bigger picture in making this fight happen. I got less. I didn't get what I wanted, but it's going to be worth it because I got the victory and I shut him up. Whoever side this may fall on. Because it's a business, but it's also about pride. It's a business, but it's also about pride. I'm telling you, it's a business, but it's also about pride. That is a big time situation. This whole aspect of fight. Let me see. Tank can't stand that all this attention is centered around Shakur, Devin, and Keyshawn Davis. Absolutely. 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 Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And he, again, I don't know him. I'm not trying to cast any sort of negative judgment based on, oh yeah, he's just like this. I know him personally. No. From the outside perspective, how he moved throughout his entire career up to now, he's been able to be a bully. His entire career, he's been able to be a bully. While he was under Floyd Mayweather, he could bully his way to getting fights with big time names. Even when he didn't want to, even when he publicly said, I thought Floyd Mayweather was setting me up to lose when I fought against Pedraza because I didn't want to fight Pedraza. Even still, he was able to be a bully, not just in the ring, but in the build-up to said fight. Tank has been, regardless of the opposition, a bully in every regard that has been able to throw his weight around the world of boxing to where even if you're not in the ring with me, even if your career is separate from me, I still affect what you do and what you are and what you're worth because you're not me. Y'all need me to make this sport run. I've said this countless times also on this show. The boxing used to revolve around Tank. It was Canelo Alvarez, Gervonta Davis, two biggest names in the sport, at least in America. At least in America. Canelo was bigger globally, but outside of that, Tank was the most lucrative name that the states had to offer, and he was the top three most lucrative names in all the world with him and Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. But that's who ran the world, and Tank was able to use that position and even affect everybody else because everybody still kept comparing people. You're not as big of a star as Tank. Whenever Tank moves, that's when the boxing world shakes. The world revolves around the sun that is Tank Davis. That is what we had said the boxing world acted on. It shouldn't have been because now we see when we figured out that the sport doesn't revolve around Tank, but it revolves around legacy. We got a bunch of fights everywhere and everybody's saying, oh my gosh, life without Tank ain't so bad now, is it? Shakur, Keyshawn, Devin, Haney, Benavidez, all of a sudden are the new faces that are looking to take over the world. Gervonta Davis isn't even in the conversation. Boots Ennis is, if he wins in dramatic fashion against Xander Zayas, everybody's going to be looking at Boots saying that he is the next big thing. And Tank's going to be not forgotten, but very much on the back burner because you're not there. And these guys are doing great stuff. We see the evidence of success at a level that we've been asking for. We have no complaints except to say this brother is what we want to see for the future. And he is the future. Tank left his own self behind because of how he moved in the sport of boxing. That's why I put out that short earlier. He doesn't have a legacy. This is why I said Tank doesn't have a legacy. because he's demanding stuff that his legacy has not been able to give him because of what he's done. And now, Shakur, big fights, big names, big competition, risk. He went and turned into one of the 5 biggest names. Devin Haney. You can hate him or love him. He has been on the public eye of the boxing world because he's been in the ring with some of the biggest names, pound for pound, in the sport every single time out. And he's getting ready to fight both Keyshawn and Devin Haney. Keyshawn and Shakur, he wanted both of them. And everything, boom. We were seeing Keyshawn Davis move up, fight Jermaine Ortiz, move up and immediately call out Devin Haney. Straight. Inserting himself into, I want the biggest names with the biggest opportunity. Yeah, it's a huge risk. I want it. They're moving in ways that caught people's eye and putting on performances against dangerous people. Tank, all the while, was MIA. Some of it because of his own doing, as we know with outside the ring stuff, and some of it because of his own lack of doing in the ring. And the spotlight came off him. He doesn't want to, he's not the focus. He's not seen. Everybody is, dare I say, moved on. When you come back, we are excited. But we're not excited because, hey, it's just a fight. We're excited because we're saying, well, finally, where you been? We've been waiting on, not even we've been waiting on you. We're surprised you even came to the party because you were not doing anything. And now we're seeing all these other stuff. We're finally getting the big fight. But again, the emphasis is on finally. Because the other parties have been doing not just more work, but better work against better competition. And they're still jawing at each other. You throwing your hat into the 4A, we're excited for it. We want to see it. But it's not the same as before. It's not the same as before. Because like I said before, the whole landscape of what the sport has been has now shifted. It really has. It really has. Let me see. We still got more people in the chat that we want to keep on reading with. Let me see. Clubber, what's going on with you? How you doing, Clubber? We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for tuning in and showing up to our humble abode of a community. If you're enjoying the show, please leave a like on the video. One like makes a world of difference to what we got going on in the world of the Welch Report. We need all of you. You all are the driving force. You're the lifeblood. You are the support that makes this show grow. We can't do this like with PBS without viewers like you. So please hit the like button. Get the likes up on this stream and let's go on and keep having a phenomenal show today. WBC ordered that Schofield fight. Yes, they did. All of a sudden, he got warrants. Make it make sense to me. Look, I'm telling you, this is the problem. It's been stop and go with Tank all the time. We're sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. This is, he was mandatory with Schofield. It seemed like they were in talks with each other, and now he's pivoting and going to fight against Devin Haney. It's like we again, even though it's noise happening and everybody's looking everywhere, it seems exciting, and it is exciting. But it's also, we're asking, what's actually going down? Most of this intrigue is also a little bit of confusion because not just with Keyshawn Davis calling out everybody at 140, they're calling out everybody at 147, and now Tank coming in. He had a fight with Schofield. He looked like that fight was going to happen with Schofield. Now that fight may not happen, and Schofield's going to get the mandatory or going to be just given the belt, which is not against him, because he was in position to get a title. We're not going to call him an email champion in negative context because he was in position to get this fight. But regardless of which, we just want some clarity of what's actually going down. And the emphasis on the clarity could come, or rather the capping of finality to get the clarity that we want could come in the next coming weeks. Because now Tank, Devin, and all that noise went from rah-rah, lot of buzz, to nobody saying a lot of stuff anymore. Oftentimes that can mean, okay, now we're talking actively behind the scenes. Now we're actually going to try to make stuff shake, and we're actually making moves to see what can actually happen. We're no longer just talking, noise and making a bunch of bust and hullabaloo. We're now meeting face to face, phone call to phone call, and we reaching out to see what's real, what's not, and who's actually gonna make a change, a decision, make an addendum, whatever the case. Now it's time to get serious, because I'm actively here trying to make this fight. If that's what's actually happening in the next couple weeks, we're going to see stuff probably shake. If that's what's actually going on. If. It's a big if. But it's there nonetheless. But making it make sense, we want to. We really do. It's just going to take, it's going to take some time. A lot of this right now, I'm going to be straight up with you. A lot of this right now, for all the clips, for all the tweets, for all the stuff we can put together, it is skepticism. I'm not going to sit here and fool you as if I'm saying all this stuff is concrete, is going down. We got it, this, that, and the third. He said this to me directly. No, I'm not doing that. One, because I don't got no sources. Not yet, anyway, sadly. But two, most of the stuff that we're hearing right now, we're still waiting to be validated on. How true it is, what's coming out of the other side, and if this is a real thing, or if it's going to be what we've seen before, where everybody just talk, but nothing shakes. I'm not going to get your hopes up, though I am excited for the hope that is here. This is all speculation, but it's necessary speculation, because we need to try to make sense of where this all is leading to, because it's leading to something. That $100 million deal with Zuffa that Devin Haney's trying to sign, they going to get somebody worth that money. Or else that deal's most likely off the table. They're going to get somebody worth that bread, or that deal is MIA. Shakur Stevenson still wants to fight and needs to fight still somebody on that caliber, now that he's been directly in line to fight these elite people, Devin Haney included. He's still got to make a decision. Something's got to come out of this. Keyshawn Davis, he wants to fight with Devin Haney, absolutely. He's the mandatory. He can still be gunning for that, or beat somebody else at the division, potentially try to fight Ryan Garcia if he can't get the fight with Devin Haney, if everything still bows through and stuff just keeps on stalling and stalling. Something's got to shake to make stuff happen, because even these talks can cause ripple effects no matter which way that they go. No matter which way they go. We're trying to make sense of it all. That's what we're doing. Let me see. There's rumors saying that Tank is working with Jose Benavidez Sr. Is that true? That's going down? Well, that's actually a good question. Because as you know, there have been some rumblings about the world of Tank Davis and his whole entourage per se, specifically Calvin Ford. And there's been some people saying that him and Calvin Ford are not in the same way as they used to be. They're not eye to eye as they used to be. That tight-knit group of Calvin Ford who helped not groom, but grow Tank Davis into the fighter and tried to grow him into the type of man that was upstanding. And I don't say that as a shot. I'm just saying that's what he said he wanted to do, because he views Tank as a son. Rumors are that they've split ways. And those rumors, I think, are true. Because as reported by multiple sources, including Hassan and, like we see with ABG, and I think like 5 other boxing pundits, Gervonta Davis will be working with Jose Benavidez, departed from Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis, for his upcoming fight, as they've been working for weeks to see if it was a good fit. In terms of Tank and Jose Benavidez Sr. have already been training together for weeks to see how that coaching and that style gels with each other. So this rumor may just be more than a rumor. It could be true. It could be true. It could be. I haven't seen Tank and Calvin Ford together for a very long time. Since that whole Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul fight, that's the last time I've seen them in the same room with each other working, or at least even alluding to them in the same way. I don't think Calvin Ford was there the last time that during that whole build up to the Jake Paul fight that was potentially going down. If memory serves me correct, if I'm wrong, please enlighten me, correct me if need be. But I don't even think he was there for that fight, but he was at least alluding to, I'm going to be here for my fighter. You ain't got to worry about nothing. He was there for the Lamont Roach fight. That was the absolute last fight that he was a part of. Well, actually, I think he wasn't even there that time because of health reasons. I think that's also, he wasn't even there for that fight because of health reasons that were going through and taking place, which, not going to hold against, that's what happened. But since then, there have been a bunch of speculations. And you can see right now, this may be valid. It might just be valid that this is real. Tank and Benavidez Sr. could actually be working together. They could actually be working. And this is huge. Because if this is a stylistic shift, if this is a stylistic change, for as long as we've seen Calvin Ford and Tank working together, it's weird to see somebody new taking the helm. This is like Kevin Rooney and Mike Tyson not working together anymore. Customato and Mike Tyson, again, before if it wasn't that Customato died, but somebody just took over Customato's spot outright. It's like that. It's like Emmanuel Stewart and Tommy Hearns. Somebody else training Tommy Hearns. It's weird to see, oh my gosh, how would that gel in the same way? This can be, like with anything, problematic, or it can work. Even more importantly, this could be, if it works, incredibly dangerous. Because Tank, if he's working with Benavidez Sr., if this is true, he's going to be less of a counterpuncher. Or rather, he's going to be an even more aggressive counterpuncher. Emphasis on aggressive. He might just not wait to make openings like we've seen before. And this brother could speed up that process of work with that hand speed that he already has and turn into not just a 1-2, one shot, boom, boom, boom. He could be doing the same level of combinations that we see Benavidez do if they're working together. And Lord knows if that happens. If that happens, that's one of the scariest sights to see. I'm serious. Imagine. I want you to imagine. We see Gervonta Davis throwing in the same urgency, or rather throwing in the same deliberate fashion of volume and accumulating damage that we see with Benavidez. Even not 1-to-1, but just he takes a third of that level of aggression and applies it to himself. He'll become an even more destructive pressure fighter than we've seen before. That's the truth. We've seen this man walk people down, be smart, get under shots, jump and land, counter him, and it isn't until he gets him really, really broken down that you start to see the bigger combinations. Now the 3 or 4 punch combos come out. We can see this man be even more aggressive. And if anything, that may help his style. What happened against Lamont Roach in that mid-range area, even in the close range area? He was getting matched by Lamont. And in some cases, outworked. Which is why I think Lamont should have won that fight. As Lamont built up with Tank, he was able to keep up with him and balance out what Tank was doing, especially when he started upping his own aggression. But if he ups his aggression earlier and even more substantially, like what we see with Benavidez, who is one of the most active throwers in boxing from the standpoint of throwing punches, and lands almost, not even almost, I think he lands more than just about anybody else in the sport, while also being one of the most accurate. You take the already established accuracy of Tank, you add that with Benavidez's style, coupled with Tank's IQ and ability to wait for the perfect types of shots and counter opportunities. All of a sudden, you're looking at a monstrous combination of danger, damage, and vulnerability for the opponents that is going to be so hard to stop. It's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard to stop. If that does happen, it's going to be so hard to stop. I'm serious. It's going to be a nightmare to deal with on every regard of the boxing world. It's going to be insane. Ridiculous. But in the best way possible. If this does, but you already see what it's doing with Ryan Garcia. You already see how much it has helped the confidence and establish a better offensive consistency from Ryan Garcia. Yes, the broke hands and stuff, they were healed. That played a big part of it. But also, how Garcia's fighting is a lot more grounded and active. Yes, it was Barrios as the opponent. It doesn't change what he showed in that fight with Barrios. Okay, now, that can be something that can be problematic against anybody. This is what we can see with Tank. With already what he's garnered as a talent. He doesn't become a different fighter, but his focus may shift to accentuate more of the most dangerous aspects of his game, which is his power and explosiveness. It could just be that. And if that works, that's going to be, that's going to be a nightmare. That's going to be a nightmare for anybody that he fights against. That's going to be an absolute nightmare for any fighter to deal with. Oh gosh, if this is indeed true. Ridiculous in so many fronts. I would love to see it. I would love, and mind you, for this fight specifically with Devin Haney, it would work. If this is what he's working for and training with Benavidez for. Due to the success that we saw with Ryan Garcia, operating out of the clinch, operating when his opponent tries to escape, making sure you take advantage of throwing when your opponent is most vulnerable, which is when they're in close range and trying to tie you up. That is when we see Benavidez every single time, just like against Ramirez, just like against David Lemieux, just like against Durrell, just like against Boo Boo Andre, just like against Anthony Yard. That's where he shines the best. And that's exactly where I've said, if you need to beat Devin Haney, you need to beat him by beating the clinch. To beat Devin Haney, you have to beat the clinch. You have to. You have to beat the clinch. You have to stop him from stopping you. You have to stop him from controlling you physically with that size, frame, and grappling on the inside. He's not going to throw necessarily on the inside, but he's going to walk you where he wants you to be to reset and then go back through the motions of jabbing you, and now you got to do the dance all over again. He did it to Brian Norman Jr. He did it to Jose Ramirez. He did it to Kambosos. He's done it to everybody. He did it to Lomachenko. Lomachenko fought out of it though, which would help him. Ryan Garcia, he did it to Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia fought out of the clinch and made the clinch a non-option when he was pressuring Devin Haney. Forcing Devin Haney, you're going to have to throw to get me off of you. Not just move, not just use your feet. You're going to have to throw to keep me at bay. And it didn't work. Because that physically controlling nature of Devin Haney having to clinch as his ultimate equalizer to stop whatever momentum you have, that went out the window. That is what we need to see Tank be able to get around. That's what we need to see Tank be able to get around if he fights Devin Haney. That's what we need to see Tank get around if he's going to move up to 147. How do you fight out of the clinch and escape to give you easy openings to land shots that your opponent cannot get away from? Because Benavidez has mastered that. The clinch has become one of the biggest ways that he starts to demoralize his opposition. It's one of the biggest aspects of his talent and of the Benavidez game plan as a whole. I am going to make it so that I take away the clinch. It is no longer an option for you. It is a danger for you to clinch with me lest you get hurt. Because now I'm exactly where I need to be to land shots, not just in powerful situations, but land them in succession where you can't react. And you in the clinch only gives you more ways to get hurt. That is what we need to see Tank be able to do if he wants to beat Devin Haney as a primary source of opportunity in his game plan. Benavidez makes that work perfectly. Benavidez Sr., in the game plan. Subsequently training with Benavidez, so today Benavidez as a whole, because they'll be in the same gym. That's going to work. That's going to work if this is true. And I think it is true. But again, we'll get more validation as time goes on. But I think these rumors are actually true that he's with Benavidez Sr. And if so, it's great. Oh, it's phenomenal. I guarantee you it's incredible. You're going to want to see that fight. You're going to want to see it. Because this could bring in a Tank that is a whole new animal. It really could. It really could, man. There's so many different things going on with this fight right now with Tank and Benavidez. With Tank, Benavidez Sr., Devin Haney, potential fight. It's a lot. It's a lot. But even still, even more than that, we got more stuff that we need to talk about that could actually be going down. Like with other news involving the world of boxing, that is still breaking as we've seen this with Tank kind of took over the cycle, but there's still a bunch of other stuff going down, and we still got more fights that are happening, not just this weekend, but also just got confirmed or looks to be confirmed in the future. And it looks to be per Fight Hype. T.O. has another fight that's getting ready to be announced on his own domain at 147, and it's going to be him versus Rolly Romero in a major fight for the title. It's legitimately, it could be going down. It really could be going down. This is a fight that, again, per Fight Hype, as you can see, per Fight Hype, one of their international reporters put out now, Rolly Romero versus Teofimo Lopez is being planned for August 15th against each other, and it would be for, I believe, Rolly's WBA World Championship. Mind you, we are still getting venues pending. We don't have anything set in stone, but this is big because we've been saying Teofimo Lopez has held up the line when it comes to fighting because he's been a champion. He's been in a position to fight other champions. He's been in a position to rematch Ryan Garcia. He's been in a position to even fight Devin Haney, but he's done nothing. He's sat on the belt for over, I think, 400 days. We want to see something shake. We thought he would get stripped unless he found somebody and actually agreed to somebody. And if this is really going down, this would be the fight that would happen. And it would be it's a good fight to have. Not only because this could get T.O. in position to reign as a champion once again, because mind you, T.O. is a better fighter than Rolly Romero. That even with Rolly getting better as a talent, even with Rolly getting better as a fighter, even with Rolly getting better and improving since that fight with Ryan Garcia, being more mature, being more disciplined, being more grounded as a boxer, he still, most likely, is not being Teofimo Lopez. But this is a fight monetarily. Like I said, it comes down to business. It's one of the biggest fights that we could see Rolly get. And it's one of the biggest fights if he's going to lose the belt. You're at least walking away with a good chunk of cash. And if he does beat Teofimo Lopez, that is a very significant win for him versus the rest of 147. Because yes, it is Devin Haney. Yes, it is Keyshawn Davis. Yes, it is Ryan Garcia that currently still are amongst the top of notoriety currently right now in the boxing world. But you beating T.O. would put you not just in the short list of fighters that have beaten Teofimo Lopez, but also would give you believability for the fans going up against any of those names now. A rematch with Ryan Garcia, if you beat T.O., people wouldn't be able to say just as easily, okay, yeah, Ryan would beat him. Right now, I would say Ryan currently would beat you in a rematch, how he's looking. But you, beating T.O., if this went down, would have a whole lot more fervent argument. Hey, I'm going to repeat what I did and do it again and beat your butt. It really would. It would be huge. And against Devin Haney, yes, it would be a fight that you say, oh, it's boring. If you see the money that's going around against Devin Haney right now, Shakur, Keyshawn, and now Tank Davis, that would be a fight that monetarily you would be right in the thick of one of the most lucrative current potential stars that you could garner for a unification opportunity. It may be boring, but it's worth it. Exciting or not, this would be wonders for for Volk, if he was able to take this fight and win. T.O., if he wins, he's back in the winner's column, becomes a champion again, gets his name back into the hat of fighting against the other champions at 147, gets his name back into the hat of rejuvenating his career and starting a run with starting another act in the world of boxing to stamp his claim again as, hey, now that I'm without my father, now that I'm under a new regime of trainer, hopefully, I think he is. He should be anyway. I can be different, better, and still a problem for any of these other people up here. And potentially try to run it back with Shakur, if he so chose. But again, this, if it happens, very interesting and very exciting nonetheless. Let me see. The winner between Rolly and T.O. should go for Devin next and unify for sure. I would say yes. I would say yes, absolutely. I would want to see it. Who wouldn't want to see it? Rolly versus T.O. I'm sorry, Rolly versus, well, let me rephrase it. Not who wouldn't want to see it. It would make sense. Most likely, though. And again, this is the ripples of what's going on right now in boxing. That fight probably wouldn't get the winner of either Devin Haney or even Ryan Garcia due to Tank, Keyshawn, Shakur, and Ryan all seemingly focused on each other. This is a very real situation where even whoever wins this would be in position to get these other fights. However, it wouldn't be guaranteed because of where the focus is right now on the lucrative money. And because you got beat by one of the four names that is involved in all these talks. In fact, two of the four names, because we're going to be completely honest, when it comes to right now, the world is revolving around these four guys. And two of them already beat T.O. Or two of them beat the names that are in this fight right now that's being talked about. Rolly and T.O. Shakur beat T.O. Rolly got beat by Tank. They could still, just like with Keyshawn right now, though he's in the midst of the biggest saga, Keyshawn might get left behind out of these talks initially. Tank getting thrown in, focus is now on these four names. T.O. and Rolly would be in position to fight them. However, would they get to fight them, especially immediately? Probably not. Probably not. And it could be that we could see any of these fighters in terms of Rolly and T.O. They may fight Keyshawn Davis. Because Keyshawn's still a mandatory. Keyshawn wants the title. If Keyshawn doesn't get Devin Haney, and he ain't going to fight Shakur, and Tank right now is going to fight Keyshawn Davis because we're going with value. Keyshawn Davis still isn't up to the value level that Tank would want to have him fight. Keyshawn would most likely fight T.O. or Rolly for their belt. Or, again, Ryan Garcia. I, for one, would have loved to see, in all honesty, if Rolly beats T.O., he fights Ryan Garcia and gets that rematch that we've been waiting on for a number of years. A number of years. Or at least, a number of months. My apologies. Not years, months. It feels like years because Rolly barely fights. But I would love to see that. Or Ryan versus Keyshawn Davis for the belt. But it's going to have to be one of those two avenues because most likely these four names that you see on screen, they're not going to be focused on because right now everybody's involved with trying to get each other. And until we see one fight break and one in terms of get agreed to. We got a concrete. It's happening straight up. Don't be surprised if this division stays on hold. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. That with all of the volatility going on right now, we love the action. We love the intrigue. We are invested. However, with all that's going on right now, we are indeed in a stagnation standpoint. Similar to 154 for a brief point in time. Fundora, Ortiz, Boots, Zayas, and everybody else, they were all in the division, but weren't necessarily all fighting each other. And then one of the fights broke. Fundora got a fight with Thurman. Ortiz, then boom, I'm fighting Boots now. Up, that broke down. Well, now Boots moves on. But we got to see the wheels start turning for the world of 154, and people started facing off against each other. Bolchuk faced off against Adams. We had fights going on. Backwam got beat by Josh Kelly. The division started moving. Once one fight got made, everything else started to domino fall. Or excuse me, everything else started to fall like dominoes and fall into place. This is going to be that same situation. The whole division right now is on hold. Ryan was going to fight against Conor Ben. That fight potentially isn't going to happen no more. We want to see Ryan fight Devin Haney. But then Devin Haney's tied up right now with Tank and Keyshawn Davis. We have a whole bunch of potential, but we're waiting to see something move in the big names first. Because right now everybody's waiting on who's doing what, so I know where I need to go. When those dominoes fall, we'll start seeing more fights happen more and more. Yeah, Rolly and Teal, great fight that I'm glad that they're actually, it looks like we're actually going to get it. But that's not the domino that's going to move this division. That's going to start the wheel turning. When these four names really start get going, when they start agreeing to stuff and locking down dates, that's when you know, okay, we got some vision for this division. That's when you'll see it. That's almost assured. That's when you'll really see it happening and going down. But right now, don't be surprised if this division starts to stagnate a little because of the potential of what can go down right now with Tank, Keyshawn, and Shakur and Devin Haney. Because everybody's right now waiting on pins and needles. And it's I'm telling you, the drama is just getting started, man. And once it rolls, boy, it's gonna be something to see. It's gonna be something to see. But even still, we got more to cover on this show. They want to delve into, and we still want to be able to have our conversations with. We still have to discuss the world of this weekend because what's that? I lost my train of thought. We're still trying to see what's going down because we still got to fight this weekend with Boots Ennis and Xander Zayas. Now, we are, because of the Tank stuff, taking up a majority of this conversation, which was indeed copious and necessary. It needed to happen. It did. Now, however, we can delve into the fights that are happening this weekend. The more fervent conversations of big-time situations. When it comes to 154 and the wheel actually turning in the hottest division right now, because Boots Ennis is fighting Xander, if you didn't know, for the unified titles this weekend at 154, going up against the young, hungry, I can't call him a prospect right now, but legitimate star, Xander Zayas, in a proving ground fight for both fighters. This is indeed, we've called it a litmus test. This is more than that. This is a stamping of validation for both of their careers right now. As we said it before, this is what needs to happen for both of them. As we said it before, this is what needs to take place for both people. We want to see young champions face off against top-tier talent. And we want to see top-tier talent faced off against respected, notable, and accomplished names. Both of them fit the bill for each other. Boots is the top 10 level skillful talent that Zayas we want to see take on sooner rather than later, from the standpoint of you ain't waiting 5-6 years. You're getting it on when you are reigning as a champion and operating as a champion. And Zayas for Boots is the validation of your skills when it comes to a talent that has accolades, accomplishments, and is the most seen as not just skilled fighter, but best overall position of fighter that you've been able to face in your career, even though you've had 35 fights. It fits the bill for both, and it meets the needs for both. We're excited to see it happen. But in terms of what's going to go down when we're looking at this fight, I'm very interested in the strength. We've talked about the speed. We've talked about the skills. We've talked about the experience. We talked about the technical ability. Everybody's been saying the same thing. Boots is better than Xander Zayas. I agree. Boots is more skilled than Zayas. I agree. Boots has all the intangible abilities that Zayas, while he is good, he is not able to match up to. And most people think that Boots is going to be able to knock him out. All of that is fair. But there's one thing that we need to discuss that I think Timothy Bradley brought up as a very good conversation when it comes to Boots Ennis dealing with Xander Zayas. And that is not punching strength, but the physical strength of them facing off against each other. How will we see Boots be able to handle it? And per Timothy Bradley's words, I think it'll be just fine. And I'll let him tell you himself as he transitions over into the world of picture right here for you all to witness and see. Oh, it's going to play. Oh, hold on. Hold on.
Xander ain't got a damn chance. Damn, Xander ain't got a damn chance. I love some damn Xander, man. Yeah, against some other mediocre dudes that he didn't fought. Yeah, that's just certain level. He was able to piece them up. But shit, he might get overpowered in this one, even though he the bigger man. He just might get overpowered. Oh yeah. Shit, his technical ability is gonna have to rise. Yeah, he gonna have to catch Boots when he don't see the shit coming and hurt Boots. He gonna have to, cause Boots he gonna march forward all night. Damn.
So, and again, excuse the language. We're trying to be family friendly and brand friendly, wink, wink, and all that stuff. So we apologize for any explicit language used. Trying to keep potential sponsor suitors, happy and potentially intrigued. But Timothy's saying he thinks Zayas is going to just walk. He thinks Boots is going to walk through him, and he might get overpowered. Is very interesting because if we look at them in size for size comparisons with each other, I'm about to pull up right now their face-off as they did face off against each other. This I think what was it today, or what I think it was today. Should have been today. I think it was either today or yesterday that they faced off against each other. They had their first quote unquote unofficial stare down. Going in and trying to, it's not the first stare down, but it's one of the more significant face-offs that they've had against each other. And as you can see, from the standpoint of size and ability, or size and frame, Zayas still looks like a very big man. Now, yeah, they're both wearing jackets and stuff in this. I'm not saying this is just a one-to-one, but shoulders to shoulders, mass for mass, Zayas, big head, big shoulders, big body outright. People are still saying they're surprised this man's still making 154 because he looks massive. And most likely he's going to come in really big going into the night. But though he is bigger, he is most likely not going to be stronger. And what Timothy Bradley said is going to be true. But it's going to be a little more nuanced than that in my opinion. Because though Boots is going to be, I do believe, the stronger fighter, he's not going to just walk forward and be able to catch Zayas and beat him. He's going to be making Zayas miss. That's going to be the struggle. He's going to have to make a miss if he wants to really land those shots and do some damage. Yeah, sure, we know Zayas has the ability to move. We know this is the most well-rounded, skillful fighter that we've seen Zayas face against. Or that we've seen Boots face against, It doesn't change the fact. Boots still got to get inside to land some stuff. Boots still doesn't want to overreach. He wants to get into that mid-range area to be able to go in and get downstairs to the body, land those uppercuts to the body like he did against Stanionis, and then ultimately go through and land shots to the head where he knows he can put Boots' lights out if he catches them correct. That's going to come down to not just you're stronger, so I'm going to be able to go and not just have you feel my power and walk you down and be able to physically impose my will. It's going to come down to making Zayas miss, which he will be able to. I do think he'll be able to. Zayas being technical, though, that is absolutely true. That doesn't need any more explanation. That's the reality. Zayas has the physical tools to be able to give Boots trouble. But what he doesn't have is the refinement necessary to make those tools still work. Again, he's young and he's still growing as a fighter, which we're all excited for. I appreciate it. I'm glad he's taking this jump in the first place. This is something we want to see champions do oftentimes. Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Leonard was 24 years old. 24 when he fought him the first time. In one of the greatest fights we'd ever seen in boxing history. Ali was 22, 23 when he fought against Sonny Liston the first time. When he got stuff in his eyes and all. We are happy that he's taking this fight early. But that does not mean it doesn't negate. He is not refined to take advantage of the stuff he needs to take advantage of to make Boots not be able to be as successful. He doesn't have the sharpness in his punching, nor the timing to be able to catch Boots when Boots is trying to land in that mid-range area. Boots is going to be, like Timothy Bradley said, he needs to catch him where Boots can't see. But the problem is, Xander's not going to be able to worry about that because he's going to be caught with shots he won't see coming. He won't. We showed you a clip. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find that clip. We showed you a clip of a boss, Barrow, fighting against Xander for the title. And it showed, or that fight rather, showed a boss. Excuse me. Let me rephrase it. That fight with the boss showed Zayas had a bunch of great intangible abilities that we didn't know he had yet. He had heart. He had a willingness to get grit and make himself push through. He went through, even though it went the distance, and tried to end the fight strong. He can get a second wind. He can bite down on his mouth guard, and if it turns into a straight up brawl, he'll make it happen. He'll dig deep and meet you head on if need be. He's not afraid of that reality. All of that is well and good, and there's no problem there. That is what you need. But also what Abbas was catching him with when he was getting some advantages, Zayas wasn't reacting to. It wasn't, Boots or Zayas got a shot landed on him and he saw it coming, but he just got set up with something else. No, it was just straight up. Both of them were looking to engage. Zayas was looking straight forward at him. Abbas threw a hook. Zayas just didn't react. He just got caught. He just got clipped. He did not see the punch coming, and it wasn't a disguised punch. Happened more than once in that fight. That's one of the things that started Zayas getting hurt for a couple seconds and trying to fight his way back out of that situation to become more stable and reset his feet again. If that happens against Boots, this fight's over. It's done. Without a doubt, it's done. It's done. Without a doubt, it's done if that takes place. I guarantee you, it's done if that could take place. Because Zayas' reaction time is going to be one of the most prevalent things that we're going to see in this fight. Zayas' reaction time to Boots' offense is going to be the difference maker above anything else. Even above the physical strength, even above the speed, even above all the technical ability. At a basic level, if Zayas is not quick enough to react and respond to what Boots is throwing, he has no shot at winning this. above anything else. Because Boots, in this fight, he's got all the skills and stuff, and we know he's going to show them and whatnot. That's not what concerns me the most. What concerns me the most is straight up Zayas getting caught with something that he can't see. And more importantly, getting caught with stuff that you would think he would be able to see. But because Boots is quicker than we may expect, not even quicker than we may expect, quicker than Zayas may be giving him credit for. This is not something that Zayas has seen, though that's what he wants to say. This is not something that Zayas has experienced before, though that is what he wants to say. This is not a person that Zayas has been able to compare in many situations because he's dealt with this before, like he wants to say. So even beyond just the technical stuff, the basic stuff that Boots can do may be enough to catch Zayas off guard. And if that is the case, that's a problem. Because that's going to give Zayas fits. Not with the uber technical stuff where he's stepping in and out, where he's rolling under and catching. No, we talk about straight up jab hook going downstairs. Because of the explosiveness that Boots can have, especially when he's walking forward. Stuff that, we would think, I didn't think it was going to be that easy for Boots to be able to take advantage of and do. All of a sudden, it is. Because that difference in recognition and instincts that without you needing to think, the body just takes over. Zayas does not have that yet, while Boots does. And it's refined to a point that Zayas is going to be put in a world of trouble. A world of trouble. That he can get knocked out in. All because he can't react. I'm telling you. It can be a problem. Also, let me see. We got more people in the chat. Like with MS, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the live stream today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for showing up. We're glad that you're here, and we can't wait to see what you got to say, MS. Salute to you. Everybody, if you would, please hit the like on the video. If you haven't already, we still want to hear your thoughts and responses in the world of boxing and beyond. We still want to hear your opinions on everything that we're discussing. We ain't in championship rounds just yet. We're getting ready to, but we've been Boots and Zayas is what we're talking about right now. We were talking about Tank Davis, Devin Haney, that whole saga of conversation that we were all seeing going down right now. That's been a major thing. So if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that as well on this show. But let me see what you had to say. Zayas is not going to let Boots do that. Zayas is not going to let Boots do what he did to Usman Lima. Zayas is very technical. He is. I'm not saying it's going to be, it's most likely, it's not going to be a one-round destruction of Zayas against Boots. It's not, most likely it's not. If it is, that would be a shock. Many people thought Usman Lima didn't respect Usman Lima like that. But even in that fight, no, I didn't think it was going to be a round one situation. This is almost assuredly not going to be a round one. I'm going to knock you out and take you out of there. But there is a potential that it may, because of that response and reaction time. That can be a difference in everything. But most likely that's not going to be the case. If it is, though, that would be ripples throughout all of 154. All of them. Because if Boots did do that, that would be something that even amongst the best, like with Ortiz, even after what Ortiz did to Erickson Lubin, even after what Fundora did to Keith Thurman, Kelly beating Bakram, being able to outbox him and all that stuff, even with all of that, and the biggest names right now at 154, nobody thinks anybody could take him out that quickly. If Boots did, that would separate him in a lot of people's eyes from everybody else even more fervently than he's already been separated in a lot of boxing fans' minds. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's going to knock him out in one round or 2 rounds. But I did say If he gets him out of there in 5 or 6, don't be surprised. I did say that. I did say that. I did say that. I don't think he's going to get him out there in 1, but I mark my words. Do not be surprised if Boots Ennis knocks out Xander Zayas in 5 or 6 rounds. There is a real world where that can happen. We're saying that this should be the biggest test in Boots' career, and it should. That is not debatable. What is debatable, though, is how much he can pass this test with flying colors, even unexpected to us in the standards that we have on what this fight should be. There is a real world where Boots Ennis could indeed blow everybody away and handle Zayas way easier than anybody may expect it. Way easier. And the very things that we're saying can become problematic for Zayas will be problematic for Zayas. And he goes and sends shockwaves to 154. Because even amongst the rest of 154, nobody thinks anybody could do that to Xander Zayas. Because not only is this not Lima, this is still one of the 4 best fighters right now in this division of Murderers Row at 154. That would be preposterous if Boots Ennis handled him in 2 rounds or less. But it would be an even bigger effect. But most likely not the most likely outcome. But 5 or 6, he knocks out Zayas. That's possible. That's possible. That's absolutely possible. And it might not even be with a shot to the head. It could be a shot to the body. We know Zayas is a very demonstrative body puncher. Boots can do that same thing. Yes, he can. Oh, yes, he can. Yes, he can. And Boots against Stanionis is not just a one-track fight or not just a one-off type of fight. He can go to the body consistently. He has gone to the body consistently throughout his career. Boots Ennis can knock out Zayas, not necessarily to the head, but straight up break him downstairs and force that brother to go and bend the knee. Do a Ryan Garcia. Because he gets caught, hurt, and tagged, and now he's gasping for air. He can't breathe. He can't do any of this stuff. That's what Boots can do to Zayas. It's possible. It's possible, even with the build of Zayas, even with the strength of Zayas, even with most likely coming into the fight, he'll be 175 maybe, 160 even. We've seen him outside the ring. He looks like he's 200 pounds. I think he even said coming down to make this weight, he's got to blow off 200 pounds. He's a big dude. But I'm telling you, just like what we heard with Teddy Atlas, over the course of decades and decades of knowledge that he's put out into the boxing world, flooding the basement is one of the most effective ways to stop a fighter. Because if you can flood the basement, the whole house is going to sink. And sometimes it only takes but one shot, one well-placed shot, where you're not able to clinch in terms of get your body ready, clench your abs, be prepared. It only takes one. Sure, on both ends of the spectrum. But for a likelihood of a shot that you don't see landing downstairs, it's for Boots. It's possible. He could be the man to land that shot. For Boots, it's absolutely possible. He can be the man to land that shot. He can be the man to land that one-hitter quitter that makes everything about Zayas drop to his knees. It's there. It's dangerous, but it's there. And that's why it's so exciting. Because if he does indeed accomplish that, what that will do for Boots' cachet, exponentially blow it up. Immensely. That would be boogeyman level for the whole of 154. It would. Even if you think Zayas could beat Boots, or excuse me, even if you think that Fundora could beat Boots, you would be scared. Even if you think Ortiz could beat Boots, you would be scared. You would be scared. Most people would. Justifiably so they would. I can't imagine who wouldn't. I can't imagine who wouldn't. I really can't. Because it would be so concerning to see somebody that's supposed to be the man to push you to some level of limit get handled in such an easy way. It would be a problem. It would be an absolute problem, but it is possible. It's possible that from rounds 5 and 6, this fight could be over just like that. It could very well be over just like that. I'm serious. I'm standing on that. I am standing on that because I know that I know that is the reality that can happen. That is absolutely reality. But even still, we still got more to talk about on this show. And because we're past the 2-hour mark on our podcast, it's now time to go into the world of the championship rounds to let your voice be seen and heard for the masses all across the globe. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time to work. It's time to shine. It's time to let your voice be seen and heard all across the globe. So it's time for us to shift gears and get ourselves ready to have your opinions be heard all across the world. So let's go and transition over and let's get into the world of the championship rounds right here, right now, for you all to witness and see. Come on, let's get it started. 30 minutes to an hour talking about everything in the world of boxing and beyond, whether it's NBA, NFL, other fights that we didn't get to discuss, more stuff with Tank Shakur, Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, fights coming up with Zayas and Boots going against each other. All of the talking conversation. We want to hear from you in every facet of regard. We want to have you be the voice of reason and guide the last 30 minutes of this show to go wherever you want it to go. So we want to hear from you and your thoughts and your responses. So let's get it on, shall we? Let's hear what you got to say. Let's get your voice into the conversation. As you're getting your chats together, we'll still talk more on this stuff. We'll circle back around to the biggest situation of Boots versus, or not Boots, of Tank versus Shakur. Not Shakur, Tank versus Devin Haney in a fight that would actually be able to happen. If we saw Devin Haney fight against Tank Davis, I would love to hear your opinion on who would win that fight. More than just the fight itself, who would win. And if the weight class would affect your decision in who would win. Specifically, we fought at 147. Because I've been seeing different aspects of conversation in regards to Tank about his ability to fight. Biggest thing with Tank, everybody says, Tank is the best in the world. He said it himself. Nobody's better than me. Nobody can beat me. I'm that dog, I'm that monster, I'm that dude that runs the table in the world of boxing. There is no one else that can go and take what I can do. I am the man that is above the world. His fans have said that as well. Can't nobody beat him. Anyway, can't beat him. Shakur can't beat him. Devin Haney can't beat him. Keyshawn Davis can't beat him. He wipes the floor with anybody he steps in the ring with. Well, now that it's at 147, all of a sudden, if this fight does happen at 147, everybody's saying, well, he's too big. This is going to be too much for him. It's going to be an unfair advantage. I want to know if we saw Tank fight against Devin Haney at 147 with no rehydration clause, would he still be able to beat Devin Haney? And would the response be no if that fight got agreed to outright? Because if so, okay, understandable. Because you've already made your position known. But if it's yes, I'm confused as to why there is a problem with the weight. I'm not trying to just make up stuff. I'm trying to drive in a point. There has been a counterintuitive message when it comes to talking about Tank and talking about his ability to win, and then also saying it's unfair. Many people still believe right now Tank is a better fighter than Devin Haney. Many people, many boxing pundits still believe, Max Kellerman and others still think Tank would beat Devin Haney if he fought against him. I think that Tank could beat Devin Haney if he fought against him. I don't think he could beat Shakur, but I think he could beat Devin Haney. And I think if you favor Tank in this fight, even at 147, it would not be unfair. At a catchweight at 144, it wouldn't be unfair. When Devin Haney was at 135 and people said that Tank could beat him, it was not unfair or out of the question. But the same argument was Devin Haney's too big. He blows up too much. It would be unfair. I don't know why that's the case. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I don't think that speaks to the belief that Tank is what we think he is, or rather what we've said he is for a number of years. Because even though it would be a weight potential mismatch, Tank is good enough. He will be able to still mop the floor with him. Haven't we heard so many stories about Tank and his power being able to knock out heavyweights? Multiple times we've heard this man's punching and putting out heavyweights, good heavyweights at that will bring it into sparring. We can't keep nobody, big or small, in the ring with him. It's impossible. He's cleaning the gym out dry. Can't nobody hang with Tank when they're trying to get ready for a fight. We're running out of sparring partners. We've heard that story multiple times. We've heard this from multiple people. It's been used as a catalyst. Look at the translative power, the pound for pound level ferocity, the pound for pound level knockout ability that Tank has. No matter if it's 135 or 200 plus, everybody's getting put to sleep when this man gets in the ring. He's just that good. That's what we've been hearing for his entire career. And now all of a sudden, when we get these types of names, it turns into everybody is too big for Tank. Why is that the case? Why is this happening? Why is this a consistent thing that has everybody talking and saying, hey, this is too much for Tank to be able to handle as a fight? Too lofty of a goal, but then still say Tank is better than Devin Haney. It seems counterintuitive. Two different messages. And even with that, as I'm about to pull up this picture right here, that still doesn't make any sense to me. Because if you want to say that Tank and Shakur is a fight that you want to see and that Tank would knock out Shakur, you're not saying that about Shakur. And we've said it consistently, Shakur can also be a huge man. Shakur can also be a big dude. And Shakur himself is somebody that if he rehydrates, this buddy was bigger than Teofimo Lopez. In fact, we brought up Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis and Devin Haney and everybody else doing these weigh-in checks, saying I'm at 144, I'm at 147, I'm at 154, or whatever the case may be. I'm ready to fight at any given point in time. Keyshawn Davis jumping in. We've talked about what they're weighing in at right now. Do we forget when Shakur Stevenson put out a post on social media, on his own social media, about the weight that he can get up to? Do we forget that? Do we forget that this same Shakur Stevenson that people say, oh, Tank would be able to beat? Well, for those of you that feel that Tank can beat Shakur, this same Shakur posted on his own social media, flexing in the mirror, I'm 175 pounds. What the world? What the world? Why is this not being used as an excuse why this fight shouldn't happen? And again, they're both currently weighing in around the same weight on their individual scales when they were posting stuff on social media this past week. 144 to 146. I think Tank was 146 to 144. I think Tank was 146 to 144. Shakur was 147 outright. Something along those lines. They both weighed similar. But this is what you would see if it was no rehydration clause. Even at 140 pounds, this is what you could see Shakur get in the ring with. This, a 175-pound Shakur Stevenson. And we've said Devin Haney can get to 180, 190 even. Lomachenko called Devin Haney a heavyweight when he got in the ring with him finally. And before he got in the ring with him, he said this brother looks like a heavyweight, how big he is. And on fight night, he looked 175, 180. So why is this not the same thing? Where's the same noise? Again, this was Shakur. This is an old post that somebody screenshotted, but this is Shakur Stevens' own personal account. Posting he's 175 pounds in this very picture. He can get up to 180 if he really wants to. So can Devin Haney. So again, what is the reasoning for holding that as why this fight shouldn't happen? And that's unfair when this would be the same thing Tank would have to go up against if he fought Shakur Stevenson, who I think is a better fighter than Devin Haney and can get up to a similar ballooned up weight of light heavyweight if they faced off. That is where I don't understand. For me, that's where I'm like, I don't get why we're having that discussion of, sure, on Tank's end, rehydration clause, will he try to get it or not? That's on him. But for the public who says Tank can win and wants to see the fight, them saying that Devin Haney would be unfair because he's too big, but we just showed you evidence that Shakur, who's another fighter y'all want, would be able to get up to the same weight as Devin Haney. Where's the unfairness? Oh, he's too big in that front as well. Some for thee and not for me. And everybody's saying, oh yeah, Tank will be able to beat. Even if you don't think Tank will be able to beat Shakur, it's not a whole bunch of stuff saying, oh my gosh, that would be a problem for Tank to be able to deal with on a too big scale. At least from what I've heard. Again, if I'm on the wrong side of the internet and that noise is actually being talked about, cool. But if I'm not, and this just isn't the same level, that should not be a valid excuse to not make this fight happen. For fans that say he is as good as he says he is, when there's multiple fights against multiple people, that this same issue would come up, that he will be fighting people that could get up to this high weight. But you're only saying it's a problem for Devin Haney and not for everybody else. And even still, you then come back and say Tank could go and beat everybody because he's just that great, because he's better than them. It's a twofold conversation, and one of them ain't adding up. Some will call that hypocrisy. I'll leave it up to you. I'm just bringing it up. I don't think it should be that much of a problem if he's as good as you say that he is. That's just me. But let me see. Johnny Blaze, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the live stream today. Hopefully, again, you'll leave a like on the stream. If you are enjoying the show, please leave a like on the stream. Add your stuff to the conversation. We want to hear from you in all regards of the world of boxing and beyond. This is still the championship rounds as we're talking through the world of sports as a whole now, because we can cover up most of the main stuff, covered stuff with Tank, covered stuff with Boots and Zayas, and we will still want to hear from you in every facet of conversation. Add your stuff to the chat, add your voice to the stream, and please keep on liking the stream and keep on sharing the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, all with you and your support. But let me keep on reading your thoughts and opinions. Who wins Sunday, Lightning or of this? I think you mean De Los Santos. I would assume, and I might be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, because I am scared to be wrong picking this fight, because I know people it might come at the bottom. But I would think if you're talking about De Los Santos versus Valenzuela, I would want to pick Valenzuela to lose to De Los Santos. I would want to pick Valenzuela to lose to De Los Santos, even though Valenzuela, again, has shown he can be of this level, especially handling the likes of Isaac Cruz. I think De Los Santos should be able to go and not just catch him, and especially if he tries to move like he did against, again, the most poignant version of him when he fought against Isaac Cruz. But I think if he touches him, Valenzuela's in trouble. I don't think Valenzuela is going to be able to deal with that issue of De Los Santos being so quick and so strong. Now, hopefully, if he does move, we see De Los Santos be better at, again, cutting off the ring. Yeah, definitely. Even though it's been a couple years since that fight, people, probably Valenzuela, still going to test to see if Edwin De Los Santos has the ability to move and keep up with somebody that is trying to stay away from that speed and power. Has he learned to be more judicial with angles of cutting off the ring? He's most likely still going to test that. But if that does turn out to not work, De Los Santos definitely is going to be able to catch him. And unlike what we saw with Isaac Cruz when Valenzuela fought him in his most notable win, that is not going to be the thing that stops that's not going to be the only thing that you need to stop De Los Santos from having the victory. If De Los Santos has learned. That's the thing. Has he learned? I hope he has. I think he has. But only time will tell. But that's why I'm picking for him to fight and for him to win. Also, Speaking of that, because we got more fights than just that one fight on the card, it's also a couple fights on this card with Boots and Xander Zayas that we also need to discuss, like with, most importantly, Whitaker versus Rivera. This fight right here, Ben Whitaker versus Rivera, and I believe this is for the, is it interim? Okay, yeah, it's the silver. I couldn't tell if it was, I thought, I got scared. I thought it was for actual world title at light heavyweight, but still, this Whitaker versus Rivera, this fight is going to be very important for Whitaker. Not just because of Whitaker, oh, he's a big time name, he's a big time star and all that stuff, or this is one of the best names he's ever faced. Oh my gosh, this is going to tell the true test of what he is. He's still growing and elevating his game as a boxer. We understand that. This is the first, I think one of the biggest opportunities here in the States that Whitaker has had to gain an American audience, or at least garner a reputation of excitement beyond the pond of just the UK. On a big fight that, mind you, Boots and Zayas is going to be a fight that has a spotlight over everything else in combat sports, most likely. This is starting to feel, especially with the week out, like a huge deal. This is starting to feel like a major deal for a lot of people. This fight is starting to gain respect for a lot of people. This fight is starting to get people to invest in who they want to keep on watching, especially for a lot of casual fans that may be looking at this for the first time. Whitaker has an opportunity to put all that pizzazz and shine for an American audience and get the opportunity to captivate the States. Yeah, it's not for a big-time championship. Yeah, it's not for a big-time name. But we saw Boots get to this same level of, heard it through the grapevine, this guy's this good. Heard it through the grapevine that this brother is something special. I heard it through the grapevine that Ben Whitaker can be somebody that is legitimately dangerous and exciting to watch. That's what Boots got for him when he fought and did the slow motion stuff against Villa, going through and showboating and knocking people out. All of that, even though it wasn't against the best of names, here in the States, it started to bubble up. And it got to a point where now, oh, this brother's the next guy that can beat Terrence Crawford. Even though the names weren't necessarily at that point. What the people were seeing made them buy in. Ben Whitaker's been wanting to get people to buy in. And he's been taking the sport, not just the sport, but himself, more seriously and grounded in the sense of, yeah, we want to put on a show, but also after that over-the-top rope battle royal situation that I had, he's changed his style a little bit, and he's getting people out of there like he's supposed to. And the best way, at least in the States, you can go and make excitement, is to fight in a way that is sporty, and it's to fight in a way that gets people to pay attention, gravitate, cause people to shift from who is this guy into whoever he is, this brother's fun. And he putting people to sleep. If Ben Whitaker can get a knockout against Rivera on the undercard in Boots versus Zayas, I can promise you the moves that would make for his career going forward would exponentially help to shape his position to get a shot at a world title against Bivol or Beterbiev. Either one of them is in the cards. It's possible. It's doable. It could happen. Ben Whitaker makes a splash in the States with this fight. It would do wonders for him to have an ability to fight against a title or fight for a title against Bivol or get a fight with Anthony Yarde, Beterbiev, or anybody amongst that top 6 to 10 and expedite his ability to get a shot at the championship sooner if he can make the American market start to see him as must-see TV. In the same way that they saw Boots when he finally did something that shocked the world we got to start paying attention to him. It's a big fight. It's a big fight. It's a very big fight for him going into this whole situation. Guarantee you, it's huge. Also, real quick before we end off the show, we do want to make sure, because we're still covering the World Championship rounds, and we still got some NBA fans around the world. If you did not know, we got to finally get the trade that shook up the NBA with Giannis Antetokounmpo getting traded from the Bucks to Miami in a shock move. I'm serious. Again, we're a multifaceted sports show. We're not shifting gears to this championship round, so I got time to talk about all the other stuff going on. And this is one of the biggest news in all the sports. This is not just one of the magnum opus moves of the world of boxing, or of the world of basketball. This is huge because this changes the landscape of everything involving the world of free agency in the NBA with this biggest domino shaking and moving, changing and shifting. Giannis going to the Heat affects everybody else, including in free agency. It affects Miami because now they traded away Tyler Hero, Jaime Hawkins, Kellen Ware, and 3 unprotected draft picks, I believe? As well as because Giannis is such a high-value, supermax level player, guess what that's going to mean? We're going to see the Miami Heat potentially have to let people go. Like Andrew Wiggins. He could get potentially traded or moved to someplace else because they may not be able to pay him. One of the biggest pieces to that team that they just got could be up in smoke because of Giannis getting there and him pairing with Bam Adebayo. Yeah, it's a dynamic duo, but they got to make sure they can afford him. Now that they got him, some people may have to go. And Wiggins may want more money. So Wiggins may get moved. Norman Powell, who's a former All-Star, guess what? He most likely, per Brian Windhorst and a couple other sources, he's most likely out of there. He's gone. He's gone. Almost assured that buddy's going to be wants out because he wants dinero, and they can't afford to pay him. So we got to see how Miami is going to be able to retool, regroup, and reevaluate the depth of that team, and they do need depth. This is going to be, again, the Twin Towers is going to be one of the best defensive backcourts or front courts that we got in the NBA. Bam and Giannis, power forward and center. Nobody's getting in the paint. And when it comes to being able to attack the paint, well, now you got one of the greatest slashers we've ever seen in the NBA on the same team with somebody who's 6'9" and can be a mismatch offensively when he's actually able to utilize his bag and beat people because he's deceptively fast. He's a good finisher around the rim. Yeah, he put up 83 points. I'm not going to hold that as that is the Bam that we know. And that's the Bam, one of the greatest scorers that the NBA's got. No. But it does give him a floor to operate a little bit more, to show some of his skills as not just second option. But he's going to need to be able to make some offense of his own to be able to carry that offensive weight to help bolster this team to some success. He's going to get mismatched a whole lot more. Because you're going to need people. You're going to need to double team this brother to guard the likes of Giannis. You're going to need to. He's been able to average 33 points, 32 points for the last 5 seasons. Just about 30 for the last 5 seasons. 30, 12, and 5 has been his averages since, 2021? Top 5 MVP caliber, top 3 MVP caliber for the past 5 years, just about. If it wasn't for Jokic and SGA, he might win MVP 4 times over. He's been that good. But they need depth to be able to go and fill out this roster to make it successful. And right now, where they're going to find is going to be the most interesting aspects of what this NBA trade is going to look like and how much this thing is going to work or not work for the likes of the Miami Heat. They have not said they've made some moves. And Lord knows everybody's saying this can be dangerous for the East. They've gotten right back into contention for the Eastern Conference. But they still got to worry about building up a roster that's going to be able to compete with the top 5. Because if you got Giannis, you are in a win now situation. I repeat, it's a code red for the likes of Miami Heat. Because you in a win now mode. You're in a win now, whether you like it or not. With this trade, you're in a win now scenario. Also, let me see what you got to say. Let me see. We got more people in the chat. Like what Beats so. Does that trade make him an Eastern Conference championship contender? It starts that, but it doesn't complete it. It starts that championship contendership. It doesn't complete it yet. They got to be able to get at least a 8-man rotation. And because of who's getting ready to get pushed out, they got to find some free agents that they can sign to fill in. Now, if they're able to keep Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins, and they're willing to be happy taking less, that's perfect. That's perfect. Now you can sign free agency with easier ability to spread the funds around accordingly. If not, though, it's just going to be, you got to find some people. But if they do, yeah, they turn into a top contender, or at least get in the conversation. And you say, come on now, you gassing Giannis defending. He's not like that on defense. He former defensive player of the year, and he has been one of the better defenders in all of basketball. That's been a consistent thing that we've been saying about Giannis. That has not changed. It gets better now that he's paired with Bam. Bam has been routinely one of the best defensive players, not just centers, players that the NBA has to offer. When in the Olympics, it was a clearer situation of needing a defensive anchor outside of Anthony Davis. Bam was one of the best pieces that Team USA had to offer. When you paired Bam with another all-defensive big, you saw what that could look like. And it looked insane when he would play with Anthony Davis in the Olympics. Now you have that in the league as a whole for 82 games with Giannis Antetokounmpo. The paint's going to be neglected. Bam was doing this by himself in the paint. Now you got somebody else that can be as mobile as you, longer than you, and if anything, is going to be able to take more chances simply because Bam, as the already established center on the floor, is able to already cover so much ground. It makes his job so much more easier. It makes his ability to switch on smaller guards even more viable because now Bam doesn't have to be the back line of defense anymore. He doesn't. Bam doesn't need to be the guy that they got, okay, this is the last line that we got to go through. And this ain't Rudy Gobert, who in the paint, he's a shot blocking machine, but you bring him out on the perimeter, now it's a problem. Now you can put them both on anybody in the league. Joel Embiid, guess what? Who you want, we can guard him. Anthony Davis on the Wizards, you can guard him. If they get switched on Trae Young, guess what? The paint's still going to be locked up with somebody. If the Lakers go small and they hypothetically play a defense where LeBron's at the 5 again, like it was in, 2023, they can guard him. OKC, Bam and or Giannis can switch on any of those 5 and be able to be just fine. Again, the team is still needed to be built more. But those two work or can work phenomenal. Offensively, they're going to figure it out. The spacing, we're probably going to see Bam take a lot more outside shots. Use some of that training bag that we've seen when he's going and working in the summer. That's probably going to be utilized more so in this team because now Giannis is going to be clear the floor, let the plane take off, and let one of the best slashers in league history do what he does, and you get out the way. That's most likely what Bam and them are going to be able to do. And that's the case, and Bam can show that his jump shot is a lot more conducive to success than we've realized in the past. That's a 2-man game that can work. That's a fast break game that can work. That can perpetuate a dangerous level of offense as well as be stifling defensively. So it could be good. Let me see. Miami is still mid for now. Again, for now. I'm not saying this immediately makes they're beating the Knicks. Be clear, the Knicks are still the favorites to win the NBA Finals. That hasn't changed. Be clear about that. Don't let nothing fool you. Don't let a thing fool you. Even with Giannis getting traded to Miami, even with Jason Tatum coming back healthy, even with Cleveland wanting to run it back and try to potentially sign some pieces to make their roster better, the Knicks are still favorites to win the East in the NBA and come out and potentially repeat. They're still that. Miami getting this position of Giannis on the team has now set themselves up. They can poach and pry and sign some other pieces to get this roster built to go and make a run. If not this year, next year. But it's a start. It's a dangerous start. It's a dangerous start, especially with the culture of Miami. Miami has become, and I don't say this disrespectfully, but a poor man's Spurs under Pat Riley. And by that I mean, the last time they made the finals twice, it was with a roster that shouldn't have. It was with a roster that shouldn't have been able to get to the finals. You look at that straight up, it doesn't look like it can get there. And the way the Spurs work, they got pieces that were conducive to the organization and the style of play at which they did. Well-oiled machine. We need cogs in the wheel that fit perfectly, not the biggest names. Pat Riley and this Miami Heat squad, their success has always been chemistry. We work together well, and we're able to understand each other. We fit, even if we're not the biggest names, even if we're not the most depth of talent. Gabe Vincent got a big deal, 3 years, $33 million, because of what he did in Miami. Max Strus got a big deal because of what he did in Miami. Maxi Kleber got signed everywhere else because of what he did in Miami. Many teams got pieces because of what they did with Miami. Because that Heat culture makes it so when you play here, you're going to play above what you normally are. But because of how we operate, you're going to elevate. That's what this team can be. They may not even need a bunch of great pieces. Average to good, they've been able to make into a well-oiled machine that can over-exceed expectations and make people play better than they are. That's what makes this team so scary. And with Giannis now at the helm, knowing how Giannis has been consistently dominant, him and Bam are 1A, 1B. That's a very good 1A, 1B. It is. For talent, we respect Jimmy Butler to the highest of heavens because of what he did do in Miami. Take that team twice to the finals and be a leader that can be no longer said as a lie about what he is in his career. It's the truth. But Giannis is a better player than him by leaps and bounds. And if this works, good gosh, this team can be horrifying for anybody to play against. Horrifying for anybody. I'm telling you, it can be scary. Let me see. Assuming they're going to play well together. Remember the super team of Brooklyn and the super team of LA. But see, that's the difference. The super team of Brooklyn and LA, with LeBron and AD, they won a title. And that wasn't necessarily a super team. That was a well-built team from top to bottom. It wasn't super. It wasn't three superstars outright. It was LeBron, AD, and then Danny Green, Alex Caruso, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard. And who else? Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and a bunch of other key pieces. Key pieces. Role players that were great at their role. That's where Miami has always thrived. This isn't about them working like a super team because this is not why this isn't built like a super team. Why super teams oftentimes failed was because those three needed to be on the floor for it to work all the time. When Miami won, they were a super team. Yeah, with LeBron, AD, with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. But if one of them wasn't on the floor, the whole team didn't work out the same way. It didn't look the same at all. And if one of them started to falter, the whole breadth of what that team could achieve was shrunk immensely. Second 2024. Yes, it was one of the greatest offenses I'd ever seen out of the Spurs in 2014 when they beat Miami. However, Wade even said publicly in a recent podcast, my knees were gone by the time 2024 ended. Or by the time 2014, came into fruition. When we lost that year, after my surgery in 2013, I was never the same player. And I couldn't be. And I couldn't get off the ground like I wanted to. I couldn't run like I wanted to. And I was not able to be the way that needed to be in this big three to succeed. So when one of those pieces fell, the whole system couldn't work like it was supposed to. That's even with LeBron there. Brooklyn, KD, James Harden, Kyrie, everybody had to be healthy. And when they were, it looked like they could beat anybody. But when they weren't, KD took them almost to the promised land. But you needed those other pieces. A foot on the line was a difference. And a foot on the line could have been alleviated if that whole big three was able to be out on the floor. But it wasn't able to be. But when a unit is a good team is built, like with OKC now, like with a chemistry-driven team, like with the Knicks, like with what Boston has, and like now what Miami's trying to build again, that team can work. Because even if the biggest stars are not available, the cohesion can work and be successful. That's the thing. So they can play and work even without there being a super team, because what drives them is different. Should have traded him to the Celtics for Jaylen Brown. Thank gosh they didn't. Thank gosh they did. Let me tell you something. My gosh. If they had traded Giannis to the Celtics, I would have stopped watching basketball. I don't want the Celtics to get any more help. They don't need Giannis. They didn't need Giannis. And they offered Jaylen Brown they offered him. They offered Jaylen Brown in this package trade. In fact, the whole reason why that trade didn't happen, if somebody posted why that trade didn't happen to Boston. And I think it was because Boston wasn't willing to give up. Who were the pieces? If I can find it, I'll tell it to you. Who the world was it that they weren't willing to give up? Let me look it up right now. Here it is. Pershams Tirani on his Twitter. Boston was not willing to give up Baylor Shearman and Hugo Gonzalez in a trade package for Giannis Antetokounmpo. These two people are the reason why the Celtics didn't get Giannis, because they weren't able to give these two up, but they were willing to give up Jaylen Brown because this is Jason Tatum's team, even though they work well together. Now you got Jaylen Brown most likely going to be unhappy. And you got Boston losing out on pairing Giannis and Tatum together to be a dynamic duo. These two would have absolutely been worth it for Giannis. With the way that team is constructed right now, you doggone right. Why in the world they didn't make this trade? Who knows? Thank the Lord they didn't, though. Because if this is what it took to sacrifice, if these two and Jaylen Brown were what it took to sacrifice to get Giannis there, this Boston team would have said, okay, Boston's favored to win the finals. I would have said it outright, without a doubt. These were sacrifices I'm willing to make if that's the case. because this would have been unfair. That would have been unfair. That would have been unfair. Unfair. Thank God it didn't happen. I don't want to see Boston good. For the sake of, they didn't need Giannis to be good. They didn't. They can still potentially beat the Knicks, even though the Knicks are the favorites, without Giannis on this team. But with Giannis on this team, the whole East versus Boston, there would have been no competition. They're beating Cleveland. They can beat the Knicks. Still would give them one for their money, but they can beat the Knicks with Giannis on that team and Jason Tatum and Derek White. And the rest of that roster still intact. They can beat Philadelphia. They sweep Philadelphia without a doubt. They sweep Philly. Toronto has no shot to beat them now, let alone with Giannis on that team. The Hornets are up and coming, one of the most exciting teams in basketball right now. They ain't got a shot at beating them, and they're just getting out to play it. Miami, they would have gotten swept, but they're not even going to have a chance to play because they wouldn't have made it in the first place to the playoffs to fight against the likes of the Celtics to even win a series in the first place. So they're out. The Wizards look so extremely dangerous with A.J. Diabate most likely being on that team after the draft because they got number 1 pick. And Trae Young, AD, A.J. Diabate, and what looks to be with that roster a decent supporting cast, they could be dangerous, but with Giannis on Boston, they're not beating them most likely. It would have made the East irrelevant outside of the Knicks for who can beat that team. That would have been horrible. Horrible. Thank gosh that didn't happen. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. That would have been, oh gosh, that would have been bad. Giannis going to leave when his contract is up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. He's in the middle of his prime. And he might re-sign with Miami. See, Miami has a thing where they can work beyond their means. And they can entice more stars than most of the places around the globe. They really can. Don't forget, and I know it's a long shot, LeBron's looking for a contender to go to next year. And if he's willing to take a pay cut, Miami as a way to end his career with that big three would not be bad. Or at least would be exciting to think about. But there's a couple free agents that would be willing to go through and sign with Miami because now they landed not just a big-time star, but it's a big-time destination that is enticing for people and for other stars to want to go and be a part of. I'm serious. I'm so serious. Coupled with, sure, they lost out on some picks, but they have the capacity to make everything work with how that roster is built. I'm telling you, they can make Giannis resign. All it takes is not even a championship, just a competitive season that shows there's an ability to grow here. He can work. And don't let it be that he gels with Pat Riley. That's another thing. The relationship with Pat Riley, I think the relationship with Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler kind of went sour. And part of the reason why, even with them getting to the finals, they didn't work. And ultimately, he signs with Golden State. Fair. But when Pat Riley is able to gel with a player and he's able to make an environment work for them, they don't want to leave. They don't. And I don't blame them. Don't let Giannis be on the same page with Pat Riley. Don't let Giannis make this place feel not just like home, but like a contending home that we can keep on building and make this thing work. Even after your contract is up, he'll stay. He'll stay. Because here's the big thing about loyalty. We said that Giannis was going to leave years before this trade finally happened, after winning a title. We did. Don't forget that. We were saying that he was going to leave after winning a championship for a couple years. Then they signed Damian Lillard. He gave them some more time. even when Dame got hurt and they traded him back to Portland. Instead of trying to make that work, which again, it could have worked. However, Dame getting injured was the thing that held injuries in all parts is what held that team up from being able to be the potential contending East team that they wanted to be. But he still gave them more time even after that experiment failed. This is the man who's big on loyalty. He's a man who's big on willing to wait. He's big on willing to let stuff go and pan out to give you a chance to, he'll make it known, I need something to change, but he's willing to wait to see if it changes. He's willing to wait to see if it changes. That's all he needs. That's all Pat Riley needs. You're willing to wait? Bet. I'll make it worth your while. And I'm telling you, he can stay. He could stay. He could absolutely stay. Be prepared for him to stay. And if we look at the free agents that can be made this year with who's available, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. A lot of people that can be timely pieces. Jose Alvarado. They could poach him from the Knicks because James Dolan said he's not going over the cap. He's not going over that second apron. This championship squad with the Knicks could look completely different from now up until next season because James Dolan is not going to pay people. He said that publicly. It's already getting ready. He ain't going to be paying folks. Somebody going to get out of money. Somebody's not going to be there. Couple people ain't going to be there for the Knicks. And Jose could be one of them. They could pick up Jose Alvarado. They could pick up, Patrick Baldwin. They could pick up Harrison Barnes from the Spurs. They could pick up, not Nicholas Batum, but if Bradley Beal is willing to take a major pay cut with all the money he's already stole from everybody else, if this is a chance for him to win with a contender, he could go and sign with them. KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope from the Grizzlies, free agent. He could sign there as a knockdown 3-and-D man. With OKC having so many pieces, they could go through and say, we'll let some pieces go to sign potentially bigger free agents. You got people that are going to be on the docket. Lou Dort may be gone from Oklahoma City. So guess what? That means that it's a viable option that you could go and pick up some people. You really could. You got Champagnie, who shot 60% from three just about this playoff series. And in the whole playoffs as a whole, not just in the NBA Finals, where he shot, I think, about like 45, 50% from three. When he started turning on, this brother turned into a menace. Helped to push this series to a very competitive 5 games. He could be gone, and they could pick him up and sign him, and they have another 3-point option to spread the floor with Bam Adebayo and Giannis. Jordan Clarkson, as you can see right here, who as just a straight-up isolation scorer off the bench. Especially with Tyler Hero gone, you need somebody that can just get a bucket on their own. With outside of Giannis and what's going to be needed to be Bam. Clarkson can be your guy. If you want a veteran point guard, Mike Conley. Though he's 38, he could be, I'm not saying he's going to add much, but you just need somebody that won't turn over the ball and won't make mistakes and will be sure to get Bam and Giannis the ball in a timely manner. Mike Conley is right there if you want to get him. Steph Curry, 3-and-D, you need him. One of the guys off the bench that can shoot, you got him there. Lou Dort, like I said earlier, is right here, a free agent that can't be picked up. You have a lot of people. DeSumo just got signed, so he's staying with the Timberwolves. Staying with the Timberwolves, what was it, 5 years, 100-something million? But you have options. These are just some of the most potent. These ain't even the best that are available. These are not even the top dogs that can be able to be had for this season. Be perfectly clear. Durant, who most likely is going to sign, you got him. Keon Ellis, you got him. You have pieces, a lot of pieces. A lot of stuff can shift and change, I'm telling you. It's going to be viable. Let me see. We still got people in the chat. Has 2 years and last year still play option, so basically 1 year. Just about. Just about. But again, for Giannis, because of loyalty, unless this team just doesn't make the playoffs next year, unless this team completely crashes and burns between now and that player option, I wouldn't be surprised if he stays. I wouldn't be surprised. Giannis has been shielded by Milwaukee, boring nightlife. Miami is the ultimate test with all its distractions, food, nightlife, great weather all year round. Like I said, this has been something that a player would want to stay at. The big market is very enticing. A big market with competitive names is even more exciting. Giannis isn't just a star that is about to be in a very luxurious environment and one of the primetime spots of NBA life where you being a player gets a whole bunch of more exciting benefits. But you also get a player that because of where he's at, he gets more people that wouldn't sign with Miami to want to sign with Miami because the life is good, the environment's cool, and I can win here. I'm willing to make some sacrifices if it means I can go here and win here. Because y'all already got pieces that I can win with as a role player. I wasn't going to think about signing with Miami initially, but now all of a sudden the whole door is wide open. It's a different game. It's a different game. It's a whole different world that people will look at Miami that wouldn't have looked at Miami before and said, hey, y'all got something brewing. I want to be a part of it. I'll take what might not be as much money to go here and to get some stuff and to potentially be successful. They'll do it. It's a big deal. For Giannis going here, it's a big deal. It's a huge difference in the decision, I believe, was the weather. I would think so. I take that back. Sure, weather's going to be a part of it. I think, and again, this is assuming, skepticism. I'll say that it's just me being skeptical, making opinions of my own. I think Pat Riley was able to sell a dream. That's what I think. I think Pat Riley was able to sell heat culture to Giannis to make him want to buy into it. He probably leaned into, we're a family. He probably leaned into, we are a culture that isn't just about execution. We're about togetherness, which again is what Giannis is a big part of. Now, yes, this was a trade. Sure. So the Milwaukee is going to want to get they deemed Miami having the assets necessary to say, hey, it's worth our while. Understandable. But there's no doubt that Giannis probably said where he wanted to go. There's no doubt he has some influence in saying, I want to go here. This isn't like with the Spurs when they said, look, I don't care where you may want to go. We're going to send you to Toronto because we're not going to let you dictate where we trade you to get the most out of what we need, which is what they did. But they got DeRozan to be still a star player. Take your butt to Canada. Have fun. You won a title. Great. It worked out. It fit. But it didn't fit where Kawhi wanted it to fit. But it worked nonetheless. The Bucks, I think, still made capitulations for where Giannis wanted to go while still trying to get the best available stuff. At the same time, Pat Riley most likely helped to make Giannis see Miami as more than just a place to play, but as a family culture that he and his family, because he's big on family, will want to be a part of. Most likely this means one of his brothers probably going to get signed there to take a roster spot. That's also a thing. Almost guaranteed. Most likely one of his brothers, Thanasis or Alex, is going to be signed to Miami to play in Miami. And is going to have one of those roster spots, even if it's at the end of the bench. Because just like he made demands for him getting his brother to re-sign with Milwaukee, somebody's going to have to, one of his brothers most likely is going to have to play with him to keep Giannis happy there. If they do that, it's a lock. He's going to stay there for longer than just 2 years. If they do that, it's going to be a lock. He's going to be there longer than 2 years. Almost assured at that point. I promise you that. Who would have had a better chance in championship next year, Boston or Miami? Listen, Boston weather is almost identical to Milwaukee. If he went for a title in the immediate, Boston most likely. Now, what Boston, them giving up Jaylen Brown, and surprisingly, Peyton Pritchard wasn't one of the two people that was the defining factors in why this trade didn't go down, which I was almost assured would have been a thing. It seems like they would have been able to keep the rest of their roster together. And Jaylen Brown would have just taken Jaylen Brown would have been, his contract would have just been inserted. We're not paying that to Giannis, because it's a bunch of money. That's our 2 supermaxes, and we good. They would have been better equipped to be further along for a title. Sure. They would have. I have no doubt. That's why I said I didn't want it to happen. If that did happen, I would have been hot like fire, because I don't want to see the Celtics be able to be successful already when they didn't need them in the first place. That would be a better team. It would be a better team. Absolutely. Better team, better equipped to win right now. Weather and stuff, it is what it is. Boston would have probably loved Giannis. Even though they got some racist fans up there, they would have loved him. They would have. Would he want to go there, though? Because he also doesn't want to piggyback on the successes of others. Mind you, when he said, do I want to pair with any of, LeBron or Steph, he was like, I want to beat them. I don't want to be a part of them. He said that publicly. So him signing with them probably would have felt like, I'm going with a juggernaut that's already a favorite there. I built Milwaukee up to be where it is right now, to win a title when we won a title. I'm not about just trying to go and team up with one of the top 5, the top 10 players in the world to straight up go and play with them. Bam is a great player, all-star level player, but because he's not of that same caliber as the other people that we're talking about, and that team is not in the same way built as high up in the perspective of appearances in the world of basketball. Because mind you, they were in the play-in with the Hornets. In fact, I think they missed the playoffs because they lost in the play-in to the Hornets. Off of a miracle shot by Kobe White and some shady stuff with LaMelo Ball. But still, it makes sense for him because it fits mentally what he has said he wanted his career to be like. How he wants to move through and what he's willing to do when it comes to changing direction or working with people. He doesn't want to be just straight up, I'm going to a super team and now, we're unstoppable. He has said he wants to go through the work. And he showed throughout almost his whole career, I'll stay here if it means we're getting it done the right way. And he finally did do it the right way. So, most likely he's still going to try to keep close to that end of how he wants to operate. Most likely. That's why he signed with Miami. And again, with the amount of free agents that are on the table that they can potentially fill out their roster with, if they lose some of these big time names. They're already saying they might be trying to trade Nikola Jovic. With Norman Powell potentially leaving, they might be looking for a replacement already. They have an abundance of people. Rui Hachimura, don't forget, is also unrestricted free agent. If I remember correctly, Austin Reeves is also a free agent. Jackson Hayes is also a free agent. We talk about, I'm not trying to make this a Los Angeles level thing. LeBron being a free agent as well, but we have players from some of the other bigger prominent teams that are also able, where is it at? Where is it? Luke Kennard, who shot 40% for the season, led the league in three-pointer percentage at about 43%. He's an unrestricted free agent that can work with spreading out the floor with the likes of giving Giannis and Bam room to work. If anything, where's that? Where is it at right here? I'm gonna make sure I'm right when it comes to Austin Reeves. Is it Austin Reeves? Yeah, Austin Reeves. I think he's looking to re-sign a deal with the likes of LA. If they can't come to an agreement, he's walking. And he can demand a lot of money. Because of how he played this season. When LeBron was hurt, he was a perennial all-star. I think he was putting up 27, 28 points a game. He finalized his ability to be one of the best ISO scorers that the NBA's got right now. In the same way that we saw Tracy Maxey or Maxey on Philadelphia turn into one of the best ISO scorers that the NBA can have, being the 1-2 punch with him and Joel Embiid. When LeBron was out or Luka was out, he was putting in work. Great work, good work, averaged 23 points on the year. And again, this was higher earlier in the season. He showed he can be a number 2 or number 3 guy that is young enough at only, 28 years old. The next contract you sign for him, he can stay for until he's 33, 34. Play out his entire prime in whatever team he's on. This is just LA. This is strictly LA. And I only bring up LA because we were talking about Rui Hachimura and some of the other players on the roster. You see all of this. All of these people. Not Trae Young. Benedict Mathurin, who's playing for the Clippers. Kevin Porter. Kobe White. Colin Sexton. If you need guard play, you got it. I wouldn't sign Russell Westbrook. Don't do that. But Simons, Oubre, you want Quentin Grimes? Well, again, yeah, he shot about 40% from 3 in the season, but I wouldn't trust this because in the playoffs he shot like 32%. I wouldn't sign him. But you see all of these people that can, Jonathan Kuminga, who wants his time to shine and showed his great stuff in Atlanta when he got a chance to really spread his wings and fly, pun intended, from the grips of working in the Warrior system. You have a whole bunch of potential prospects of offensive weaponry. Chris Middleton, if you didn't know, though he's old, he's been somebody that's been rumored to potentially be eyed by the likes of Miami to repair that tandem together and provide some straight up mid-range buckets for Miami to bolster their offensive load. Kevin Huerter, one of the best knockdown three-point shooters in the league right now. From Detroit, who just made the playoffs. You can pick him up. You got names, you got opportunities, you got numbers, and you got talent. All of which can be signed by Miami. This is a big deal because all of them that I just showed you would be willing to go to Miami. They would. Because of what now that, not just the culture, but who's in the environment now. It ain't Jimmy Butler. With all the qualms, even though he got to the finals that everybody said about Jimmy Butler, good and bad. Ain't no problem here. Ain't none of that here. It's a new slate of somebody who most likely, if you sign with Miami while you're playing with Giannis, you have a good chance you're going to be with Giannis for more than just 2 years, which is a championship opportunity for more than just 2 years. And the many people that are free agents right now could be three-point shooters or three-point shooters straight up. And can work as a 3-and-D guy. Because they would anchor the defense. I'm telling you, this can work. This can really work really well. Let me see. You don't need two elite big men. Miami going to dominate the paint. Look. Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins. If they didn't get injured, they would have been favorites to potentially get a shot at the title and come out the East with the way AD and DeMarcus were playing with each other when they were both healthy. Rondo averaging 21 assists on that team, or getting 21 assists in a playoff game on that team, winning series with that squad. When you had a dynamic duo and a point guard that could get the ball to him, and defensively, AD, a slim AD at that point, before going to the LA, but a multifaceted Swiss Army knife that could do everything, like we see right now, but just, again, more agile. A two big man lineup can work. It can. That's the thing. It's an old school type of team when you got two big men that are running the floor. But it's in an era of positionless basketball where most people need to be able to do everything. Having people that can lock down an entire portion of the floor is not bad, because while it is a specific skill, it's so dominant it can affect everything else. It really is. And if anything, sure, it's a big man tandem, but offensively it might not be what you think for how this team can look, because this, with Giannis there, it's gonna force Bam, like I said earlier, you're gonna have to play on the outside. You're gonna have a mid-range and three-point game. You're gonna have to use those handles that we see in practice, that we see when you're training in the summer, that we see that you are explosive, silky smooth, and you have the ability to be a 20-point or more scorer on a night-to-night basis. You have to show those skills on the outer limits of the paint, because Giannis is going to be dominating the floor, dominating the interior. And if that can work out, now you got somebody in Bam Adebayo, 6'9", that has a good handle, has a respectable three, and is going to be mismatched against most people that guard against him. If you switch a big man on him, he's too big and he's too slow. Bam can get around him and get to the hoop, or pull up if he needs to, because if he can develop a better mid-range jumper. If you put a small man on him, well now, boom, I'm just going to overpower you and take you to the hole, because I'm 6'9", and I'm one of the stronger bigs in the league that is also still agile enough I can keep my balance and still bowl through you. And any guard that you try to put on him, if you do get switched on a guard, well, it's going to be barbecue chicken, because now it's going to be straight up back them down, get to the paint, and then do what I do. Mid-range turnaround, post hook, or straight up make you draw a foul. If you double me, I pass it to Giannis. If you double Giannis, he can swing it to me, because he's turned into a really good passer, averaging about 4 or 5 assists a game now, consistently, for the past 3 seasons. Again, 30, 12, and 5 for the past 5 years has been what Giannis has been able to do. That's top 5, top 3 level play. And whichever way it goes, somebody's going to be hunted. On any team that they play on right now, somebody's going to be able to be hunted. Somebody's going to be able to be mismatched against every time down the floor. And the perimeter is going to be open, because you're going to need to get some extra help when you're dealing with those two crashing the paint. Or even if you're just staggered, one in the paint and one closer to the top of the key, well, guess what? They got to squeeze that in and try to squeeze in the defense and try to stifle their ability to get space. Because if you don't help, somebody's getting dunked on, or somebody's going to draw a foul. Bing, 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 bang, boom. Open 3 in the corner. Open 3 on the wing. Open long 2 if that's what's available, because they got to collapse in. Open mid-range because they overcommitted on one side of the floor. Teams playing zone, well, they gotta go and crash. Now that's a lie because now it's two people focused and somebody can't cover the other. You can't return back in time. Up, that's a dunk. Up, that's a floater. Up, that's a mid-range. Oh, that's a foul. Oh, that's a three. Because you can't rotate quick enough. It's a lot of problems. With big guys like Giannis and Wemby, the game has to be slowed down. That's how NYC beat the Spurs, not Wemby. Or that's how New York City beat the Spurs. Wemby couldn't keep up with the pace. You're right. Wembenyama could not keep up with the pace of more so he couldn't keep up with he couldn't play in the slowed down pace of a game. Giannis, though, is a little bit different. We've seen Giannis not only win MVPs, we've seen Giannis be able to play slower, fast, and in the half court. We've seen him thrive. He doesn't need he can make his own shot and driving lane in the half court. When the game is not pass, boom, everything's moving. The Spurs played best when they were amping up the speed. That's how they came back. And that's how they were able to win game 3. That's how they almost won game 2. And that's how they were almost winning game 5 before they got walked down by Jalen Brunson. They were able to play fast, almost Suns level basketball. 7 seconds or less, you going in, boom, we getting the shot up. Oh, we catch and shoot immediately. We're not giving you time to set us up. 3 passes, open jumper. 3 passes, contested jumper. We getting shots going, and we're going to make you overclock trying to keep up with us. The Knicks slowed it down, and that's what made everything. Now we got to have a decision maker. Now we got to think and process the right way. Now we're not moving with momentum. We got to move with intentionality. We got to go in and set stuff up. And De'Aaron Fox, the bum that he is the whole reason why they lost that series, because when it came to half-court sets, he couldn't think. But also, with Victor, he hasn't developed he hasn't developed a go-to to make it so that in the half-court, without transition or people getting out of position, I know what to do, what I'm going to get to, and where I'm going to go. He's got a lot of skills, but he hasn't had a one trick to go back in the well of. In this situation, being Deontay Wilder, to go back to boxing, would have been perfect. One move that never fails, so you know I'm going to get here and I'm going to do this and it's going to work or it's not going to work, but I'm going to do it because I know I can get to it every time. That's what Wemby lacked. That's what Giannis has. He's been doing this now for over 10 years. Half court, give it to him up top. One-on-one isolation. I'm coming down to the lane. You help, I pass. You don't help, I spin or lower my shoulder, gather, and I dunk on you. Or half court, I get in position, face you up in the mid-range, jab step, power through, dunk. But in different situations in the half court, I got moves I can go to time and time again. That is what makes him separate from Wemby and from most of the league, and what's turned him into one of the top 5 players in the world. He knows what to do even when the game slows down. When the game slows down, even he's able to thrive. Because no matter what you think you can do to stop me, I know what I'm going to do. To the point that there's nothing you can do. This ain't like when he was playing against Kawhi early in his career and he got stonewalled by the Clippers or Toronto, whatever the word it was. This ain't that. This Giannis, you can't just slow him down and make him play half court and you're going to do what you want to do. It ain't going to be like that. You can't stop him regardless of the pace. The issue is, can you stop the shooting on the outside? You stop that shooting, now this team goes into a different mode. And even then, the defense that they can both bring to the table, Giannis and Adebayo, transition or half court, can cover a lot of sins that may transpire if this team on the perimeter ain't able to hit. That's why I'm saying this can be a good team. This can be a really good team. Because there's no for Giannis as the superstar, there's no concrete way to say, okay, we got a thing that will always work. Because where he's at right now, it's without Dame or with Dame. Without Chris Middleton, with Chris Middleton. Without a secondary option or with the secondary option, he's still giving everybody 30, 12, and 5. There's no pace that he can't play at. And for Miami, this is going to be wonderful. That's exactly what they need. But before we continue, we got to go ahead, bro. We might have to go and end this because we are at 3 hours and 23 minutes. Good gosh, I didn't think we were that long on the show. But again, we are talking about Giannis and the trade and this whole situation. It's a big deal, and more stuff probably is going to come through as time goes on because we're going to have probably a lot more signings, a lot more trades, a lot more movement, and a whole lot more conversations regarding the world of not just the NBA, but beyond in the boxing world, in the boxing and sports world as a whole. And just as I was saying that, look who just said he wanted to play somewhere else. Look who just said he want to go. Trey Murphy, 3-and-D guy. Once again, could go to Brooklyn, could go to the Clippers. He could play with Boston. But I'm telling you, he could also go and play with Giannis. There's a lot of the KD and Jalen Brunson. The Rockets potentially are willing to move off of Kevin Durant. And we could potentially see Houston try to trade KD for Jalen Brown. Because this experiment with KD ain't working. But KD and Tatum, that could work as another thing. We got names and we got moves being done. Anthony Simons, great guard, athletic guard, that's been able to be not just a knockdown three-point shooter, but a high flyer who's been able to mature with Boston when he played with Boston. Subsequently came into his own when Dame got hurt and he came out and was able to show that he's a real great player. He's now potentially going to be able to sign with the Miami Heat as they try to potentially pick him up. We got movement everywhere involving the world of basketball. And I'm telling you, it's just getting started. It's just getting started. It is just getting started. It's getting started. And as it continues to flow and go, we're going to be talking about it right here on this show, as well as so much more in the world of boxing and beyond. But we got to get out of here. We got to end this show, and we got to let you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, with all that being said, we're going to wrap this show up and get on out of here. So, nope, that ain't it. Hold on, wrong button. There we go. This has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We thank you so much for tuning in. We thank you so much for listening. We enjoy all of you being a part of our show and having us go into your living rooms, into your phones, and letting you enjoy, or hopefully adding to your day of excitement, fun, debates, news, and conversation all across the globe when it comes to boxing and beyond. We're going to be back here on Thursday, same time, same place, same channel, covering the world of sports and all debates of all kinds. We can't wait to see you here. Thank you to everybody who came through and participated on our live stream. You all were wonderful. You all were incredible. We thank you so much for your support. If you would, please leave a like on the video before you get on out of here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Come on and join this empire of a community that is the Welch Report. If you can't support the channel, we have Cash App, PayPal, links down below. In the Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description. Super chats, super gifts, and stickers, and all the like you can give and support to this channel if you can. It would mean the world to me. Any amount we're due helps us to pay the bills and helps us to go and edify this show to make it better for you viewers and listeners all around the globe. And please be sure to do the most important thing, which is to share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. Be sure to hit the hype button on this video once it gets uploaded as its own individual thing to help us to push the leaderboard and get us even more fervently out there to be seen by the masses all around the globe. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. We hope you have a great afternoon and enjoy the rest of your day. Be back here on Thursday, same time, same place. Be safe, be blessed, peace, and love. We are out of here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We can't wait to see you all on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we are out of here.